and pray for the results we need. Our quote of the day, nothing is far from God, St. Monica, and coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Capuchin Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world? Sorry, I was hanging up the new My Church 4.0 sign. 4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Rooming past the competition with zero emissions of boredom exclusively on CrusadeChannel.com.
Today we celebrate Saint Narcissus of Jerusalem. Life in 2nd and 3rd century Jerusalem had to have been difficult, but Saint Narcissus managed to live well beyond 100. Some even speculate he lived to 160. Details of his life are sketchy, but there are many reports of his miracles. The miracle for which Narcissus is most remembered was turning water into oil for use in the church lamps on Holy Saturday when the deacons had forgotten to provide any. We do know that Narcissus became Bishop of Jerusalem in the late 2nd century, and he was known for his holiness. But there are hints that many people found him harsh and rigid in his efforts to impose church discipline. One of his many detractors accused Narcissus of a serious crime at one point. Though the charges against him didn't hold up, he used the occasion to retire from his role as bishop and live in solitude. His disappearance was so sudden and convincing that many people thought he was dead. Several successors were appointed during the years in isolation, and finally, Narcissus reappeared in Jerusalem and was persuaded to resume his duties. By then, he had reached an advanced age, so a younger bishop was brought in to assist him until his death. Not so fast reaching for that phone for medical advice, at least as far as AI is concerned, because consulting AI for medical advice is proving to be a mistake, according to an article in the New York Post. Many documented cases confirm that generative AI has provided harmful, incomplete, or inaccurate health advice since becoming widely available in 2022. A lot of patients will come in and they will challenge their doctor with some output they have, a prompt that they give into, let's say ChatGPT, according to a research service chief of spine surgery for the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, who told the New York Post the problem is that what they're getting out of these AI programs is not necessarily real scientific recommendation with an actual publication behind it. About a quarter of them are made up. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie's Reconquest has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints.
Well, I'm the new gal at this monastery, and Jiminy Christmas, after 4 years of AutoPen social media heresy, I could use some Catholic philosophy.
Well, call yourself a blessed girl, because new episodes debut Wednesdays at 8 Central, and there's over 475 podcasts available on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and educational radio.
The way it should be.
Turning Point USA rally because they're a bunch of Christian weirdo wackos. But you can have a Palestinian prayer in, Muslim in, whatever the hell you call it, because that's neutral. Sure it is. Well, it's my church show. We are live, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you, it's Wisdom
In
Wednesday.
order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. For safe and secure society.
No, you can't. Shut the hell up.
Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them into law. You fall down the thunder, well, now you got it. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Alrighty, our call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever has been. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. And Crusader Stadium chat room is open for your commentary at crusadechannel.com/chat. I didn't even know they had any Jesuits left at Crayola University. This is a very interesting story here, and it's a very, we must plumb the depths of this. We must plumb the depths of this story, Watson. On St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, in what they call the Uptown District, as you're driving down St. Charles amongst the majestic, beautiful live oak trees that basically make a canopy over the street for 2 miles. And you have the beautiful remnants of the antebellum homes, even the modern stuff that they built in the 20s, at the early last century, all the way to the middle of last century, has class and character to it. It's a beautiful part of New Orleans. It really is. Well, as you're driving down St. Charles Avenue, you got the streetcar in the center there, and 2 lanes going in either direction on either side of the neutral ground, if you will. You will come up on a place or an area of uptown New Orleans where you will see a magnificent rising bell tower. You can't miss it. That is the Church of St. Ignatius of Loyola. It was one of the most beautiful Catholic churches in the entire state of Louisiana, certainly in the city of New Orleans when it was constructed. And you know what they did? They built a university around the church. And they named it for St. Ignatius. They called it Loyola University. And you can't, when you come upon the church, there's a beautiful sculptured statue of our Lord outside. The grounds are laid out. There's a garden. It's just, it's stunningly beautiful. As a matter of fact, if you go to England and if you go to Cambridge, Loyola basically looks like King's College. It's very, very, very similar to what King's College would look like on the outside. It's old school architecture. It's beautiful. And there it is. There's the statue. Well, almost everyone in New Orleans, and certainly every citizen of the United States, does not know that Loyola University on St. Charles Borromeo Avenue is a Catholic school. You'd literally have to go through there with a search warrant to find any sign or hint of Catholicism that remains. You know, this is a great tragedy of our day. This has to be reversed. It's the same with Georgetown University, which is a Jesuit school in D.C. You remember when dear leader Chairman Mal Obama went and spoke at Georgetown? Remember he asked for the statues of St. Ignatius and our Lord, and I forget how they were, in the beautiful hall that they have at Georgetown. He asked for the statues to be covered because Barack Hussein Obama, the Muslim, didn't want to have to stand in front of any Christian architecture or symbology there, because he came to unite. Well, Loyola College, let me finish my story. The Jesuits at Loyola College in the 1930s, early 1930s, when Marconi's invention made its way across the pond, and radio stations started being formed across the United States, AM radio stations, at Loyola. They started the radio station at Loyola, at the university. What were the call letters that they gave to the radio station? Still famous, just still there today. It's 8:50 a.m. It is WWL. What does that stand for? The Jesuit priest, the Jesuit father, is the headmaster at the university. Name the radio station Worldwide Light of Christ. That's basically WWL. They dropped the of Christ and just stuck with the WWL at 8:50 a.m. And it's still the number one rated radio station in the New Orleans market. It has the Jesuits also started in the 1950s a companion TV station, and you couldn't get on the air. This is how Catholic of a city New Orleans was. You couldn't get on the air on WWL on the radio station, then on the TV station, without either being a Catholic or being so observant and so respectful of Catholicism that no one would know that you weren't. Now, of course, this all changed when the federal government decided that religious institutions couldn't own radio and TV stations and basically forced the Jesuits to sell it. I'm just giving you a little history here of what Loyola University, of the beauty of the faith, and certainly the charism of St. Ignatius that the Jesuits brought to the city of New Orleans at Loyola University. I bring this up. This is simply stunning. Did you know? I didn't even know this. I knew that Loyola was no longer Catholic. Now, they may have some stray people that go there that believe in this anachronistic thing called the Catholic faith. I say that satirically. I don't mean it. But it's certainly not it's not on the list of go-to Catholic schools any longer, and it should be. It used to be. Today, it is renowned for its legal and its accounting programs. Our cousin Patrick got his master's degree, or got his degree as a CPA, what he calls Crayola. That's how they mock it now because it's not Catholic any longer, so let's call it whatever the hell you want. Loyola now is not symbolic with St. Ignatius of Loyola. Loyola now is symbolic. Well, it's just a cool name, kind of an Italian-sounding name. So Turning Point USA set a chapter up tried to set a chapter up at Loyola University. An attempt that was rebuffed and then was ultimately denied. The student government body at Loyola University in New Orleans has denied a newly formed chapter of Turning Point USA the ability to become an official student organization on campus. Quote, breaking! Turning Point USA was denied the ability to charter as an organization affiliated with Loyola University New Orleans at the October 15th Student Government Association Senate meeting, according to a one-sentence story from the school's newspaper, The Maroon. What a maroon. Bugs Bunny used to call stupid people maroons. The denial means that the chapter will not have access to school resources, including reserving space for campus events. However, a Milwaukee-based left-wing blog called Fight Back News that describes itself as not neutral or even-handed in our coverage appears to have covered the October 15th Student Government Association meeting where the SGA Senate denied Turning Point's ability to charter or become an official organizational campus. The Loyola New Orleans website says that 5 or more students interested in founding a campus group can apply to do so, assuming certain application conditions are met. The SGA vice president forwards the chartering application to the SGA Senate for review. The students attempting to start the organization then appear before the SGA Senate for a question and answer session before the SGA decides on whether to approve the organization. According to Fight Back News, one student said Turning Point's values do not comport with the school's Jesuit Catholic values.
It's all of a sudden Catholic?
So wait a minute, you're telling me that Crayola University is all of a sudden a Catholic university again? Surely you jest.
When did that happen?
No, I don't jest, and don't call me Shirley. Quote, Loyola University New Orleans and our whole Jesuit community, oh, that's rich, have prided themselves on the core values of St. Ignatius. Too bad the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans don't know that you're Catholic anymore. The core values of St. Ignatius and the society of Jesus at large. Now look, please do not misunderstand. I am all for Loyola being Jesuit and Catholic. 100%. Sign me up. But they're not. And if they are, I'd like to see some proof. As it stands, Turning Point USA, its leaders, and many of the individuals whom they support are in direct opposition to these values. Wait till you hear what a Jesuit value is in 2025. Well, you know what? You won't surprise any of you. Because the most prominent Jesuit in the world is Father James Martin J. And what is Father James Martin J. infamous for? Rainbow flag advocacy. A freshman named Rosalina Framboise reportedly said, particularly attributing statements to one Charles Kirk that, quote, queer people are trying to corrupt your children. Well, because they are. What would you like us to say? Queer people are trying to make your children into canonized Catholic saints? Yeah, and the direct path through canonization is to deny that God made you a girl or a boy at birth, and then to desire to change that designation because God got it wrong, and then to use the change in designation to participate in illicit, very publicly announced sex acts. Well, everybody knows that's a direct path to canonization. Of course, you get right. Oh, hey, St. Peter. Oh, I was like waiting for you in the. Come on in. Queer people are trying to corrupt your children, and transgenderism and gender fluidity are lies that hurt people and abuse kids. All true. As evidence for her claim. And then Fox News just wrote this story, says official Catholic Church doctrine does not support gay marriage or transgenderism. And unnamed students reportedly claim that Kirk and Turning Point promote hate towards Hispanics, too. After his quote at Loyola University New Orleans, the chartering of new student organizations, including Turning Point USA, follows a student-led peer-to-peer process administered by the Student Government Association. The SGA Senate made a recommendation to the SGA president on the proposed organization's application for recognition, and the SGA president upheld the recommendation. That is, how about no? Student leaders of the proposed organization have been notified of their right to appeal the decision through the SGA Court of Review as outlined in Crayola's Student Organization Handbook. Loyola will continue to support the student-led process as it moves through the next steps. Turning Point organizers on campus could not be immediately reached for comment. I love how all of a sudden Catholicism can now be used to deny teachings of the actual faith. This is a problem that was exacerbated and made permanent by the Land of Lake Statement in the early 1970s. And this is where the University of Notre Dame and Holy Cross and you look at the list of schools that used to be profoundly Catholic institutions of higher learning, we'll say. Some of the names will shock you. St. John's, Catholic. Marquette. Who do you think Marquette is named for? Look it up. Marquette, Catholic. Holy Cross, Notre Dame, Our Lady University. And the list could go on and on and on. And today, they barely exist as shadows of their former Catholic selves. They're just there for the usual purposes of promoting whatever left-wing ideology is the fashion of the day, and then asking the federal government of the United States to fund its professors and all of its programs so that this can be taught at formerly Catholic schools. As Parker said, that's right. Villanova, great example. What's it known for? I got them in my Sweet 64, my NCAA tournament bracket. The only attachment most Americans and certainly Catholics have to the University of St. Thomas Villanova is what? The NCAA basketball tournament, March Madness. Nobody knows that it was named for a saint. Even though when you drive into Villanova, there's a beautiful statue of St. Thomas Villanova. Look, I don't have the list here in front of me, but I could get you the list of Catholic universities. You wouldn't believe. There were simply dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of them. And you go like, wait a minute, that's not a Catholic school. Of course it isn't. Not anymore. It was. My point about this is, you're going to use the faith to deny Turning Point, but you don't use the faith on campus. There are no sisters. If you go to Crayola University in New Orleans, I challenge you, go there with a video. Just take your phone, put it on a selfie stick, and just walk around with it facing outwards, and just film. Just walk around today amongst the formerly beautiful gardens and pathways and what have you that make up Loyola University. See if you spot a priest in a cassock. I'll give you $1,000 if you see a priest in a cassock, and you can walk around that joint for an entire day, and you won't see one. Now, you might see one if Father Garrett O'Brien at St. Patrick's has to deliver a package or something, or has to go bring communion at home to someone, because Father Garrett would dress up in a cassock. So that's the state of affairs. So you're Catholic when you want to be queer and go all illegal alien criminal trespassing, but you're not Catholic in the conversion and salvation of souls. What is the charism of the Society of, if you don't know what the Jesuits are, Society of Jesus, what is the charism of the Society of Jesus? It is to sanctify the temporal sphere. Remember, the St. Ignatius of Loyola was a soldier. He was a very wealthy nobleman soldier who got his leg blown off, or almost blown off, in a battle, was bedridden, and while he was bedridden, the Holy Ghost visited him and said, "You're going to become a Catholic priest." At which St. Ignatius, who was also a philanderer of the highest order, went, whatever, dude. In any event, the institution of the Society of Jesus, of the Jesuits. There are universities around the world. They used to be the envy of the educational world. You know, we have books in the Founders Trading Post store from Jesuit priests. The Framework of the Christian State from Father Call. He was a Jesuit. It's one of the best books we have in the Founders Trading Post store. Get you a copy today. And my point in bringing it up and then harping on it, like, we're all for Catholic universities acting all Catholic-y and stuff. All the time. Not when it's convenient and you want to continue whatever leftism or whatever insanity is being promoted by the usual suspects. By the way, we have a soundbite today. Now, this one will get you. There is a Illinois state senator. Is there a story that goes along with it?
No, but I'm trying to.
Okay. There's an Illinois state senator whose name we had to look up. Dave Severson. Senator Severson pointed out yesterday that the state of Illinois and Pritzker and Johnson and all the rest of these creeps, they started their funding for illegal alien health care for 10,000. Guess how many they have now?
It's not tape or a Post-it or a candy bar, but this new 3M
Is the freshest spin on true crime shows since dinosaurs were solving cold cases with fossil evidence. Yeah, it's that original, folks.
Mom's Murders and Mysteries. New episodes debut every Tuesday night, 6:30 East, 4 West, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live Talk Podcast Radio, the way it should be.
Listen up, Red, White, and Dude Nation fans. Now, if you wear one new t-shirt this spring, then make sure you pour yourself into a new Mike Church Show neon microphone t-shirts. Printed on beautiful 100% soft cotton tees, the logo's so cool. It's even more cool than burning unburdened by what has been stickers. Available in sizes medium through Alvin Bragg sized 3X. Be the best dressed dude at your cigar shop or the coolest dressed gal at Junior's soccer match. Order today at shop.mikechurch.com.
While Trump continues to try and make America great again,
By doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
you forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the king of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio,
The way it should be.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. This report brought to you by the 2ALibertyWatchCompany.com. Watches that express your love of the Second Amendment, American liberty, and President Trump. All beautifully crafted and endorsed by Mike Church. Shop their stylish line of watches today at 2AWatchCompany.com. In the market report, the Dow was up 0.34%, the S&P climbed 0.23%, NASDAQ was up 0.80%. On the National Day calendar, today is National Oatmeal Day. Oatmeal has a long tradition in the state of Vermont, which originated with the Scottish settlement. Although there were many variations, most oatmeal recipes began with steel-cut oats. They soaked the oats overnight in cold water, salt, and maple syrup, and in the morning, the cook would add ground nutmeg, ground cinnamon, and occasionally ground sugar. Pot was then placed over heat and served steaming hot with cream, milk, or butter. If you're a cat lover, today is your day because today is National Cat Day, and it's also National Hermit Day, recognizing the need for solitude in all of us, or the hermit in all of us. Our quote of the day is, "Even if I must suffer greatly, thanks be to God's mercy, I will not lack courage." Genoveva Torres Morales. And our saint of the day is Saint Narcissus of Jerusalem. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
listening to that song, and I wonder, where did the term dukes come from? Put up your dukes. Come on out. Let me at 'em. You know, and the Wizard of Oz. The Cowardly Lion said, put 'em up. Put your dukes up, put 'em up. That was Bert Lahr, right? Bert Lahr. Put 'em up. Put 'em up. Put up your dukes. It must be something that is has to have come from John Wayne. Somehow that is a John Wayneism. Put up your dukes. Well, partner, put up your dukes. And hey, we'll get to the bottom of it here. On a Wisdom Wednesday, Mike Church Show here. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at MyPillow.com/KingDude for the best night's sleep in the whole wide world. Visit MyPillow.com/KingDude. And shipping is free on orders of $75 or more. There's all kind of digital bargains going on, and there's always a sale. Just the best thing to do is just go to the page and check out this week's sales at MyPillow.com/KingDude. Don't forget the My Slippers, My Towels, My Sheets, and My Stuff for your dog or your cat. At MyPillow.com/KingDude. I slept like the proverbial stone or baby last night on my pair of My Pillows. You will too. MyPillow.com/KingDude. Tell them I sent you. So where's it come from? You looked it up?
It says it's century English rhyme slang. That seems like
It comes from did you say 5th century?
19th century.
19th century English slang.
Rhyming slang.
Rhyming slang.
Like the Duke of York's.
Oh, so put up your dukes. Put up your dukes.
Because at the time, forks was slang for fingers.
Oh. So Duke is
It
slang.
just seems like a big stretch to me.
Duke is slang for hand then. Okay. Got it. Illinois State Senator Dave Severson will play the clip at the next hour when we do digital media file sound bites. State of Illinois started a program to give free health care to undocumented, okay, let's call them what they are, illegal, alien, criminal trespassers. And they designated that they were going to give these services out to 10,000 illegal, alien, criminal trespassers. Now, I have to ask the question just right out the gun. Why 10,000? Why are you being stingy, brah? If you're going to do it, just make it unlimited. Why are you setting limits on it? If these are the people that are going to save all of us from ourselves because we suck at being Americans, and the only way we'll ever be real Americans is if we import people into America who aren't Americans, I want you to try to noodle your way through that. The only way we're ever going to be a great American country is if we import people from other countries who aren't Americans and bring them here. Wait a minute. What? Milk of what? In any event, the Demoncrats in Illinois, in Chicago mainly, decided that they were going to start this program, and it is now paying for the health care services of 120,000 illegal, alien, criminal trespassers. How many is that? 120,000. And the number is growing now every month. Severson says that's a $1.4 billion a year.
About what this program is.
Sure. Well, last year, and we raised this concern, last year the Democratic majority and the governor put into place a law that said we were going to provide free health care for undocumented citizens from age 42 on up, that we were going to provide them free health care. At the time, they said they anticipated about 10,000 residents would take advantage of this program. We raised the concern. We said that was going to be a problem. By the beginning of this year, the state said, well, we're wrong. That number is about 52,000. Now, this week, the state came out and said, we're wrong again. That number is now 120,000 undocumenteds are going to be receiving free health care at a cost of over $1 billion. That's money that's not in the budget. That's going to create a significant problem. And so here in Illinois, we are now adding thousands a month as you have unhealthy and sick, undocumented citizens from around the country, from frankly around the world, that are coming to Illinois because the fact we are the only state that covers these individuals for total health care. And so this is something that is really creating a significant problem for our budget.
Let's talk a little bit more about kind of the coverage that they are receiving.
I have to ask the question. Who in the hell is running the state of Illinois, and what in the hell is wrong with you? Oh, wait a minute. His name's Pritzker. Oh, wait a minute. Pritzker. The Pillsbury Dough Governor. Hey, I like that. Remind me of the Pillsbury Dough Governor. He's the new Krispy Kreme. Governor, is that a box of Krispy Kreme donuts in your hands, or are you just happy to see me? No, it's a box of donuts. I got some Dunkin' too. This is madness. I don't even know what to say to anyone that would say that that's a good program. We are proud in Illinois that you care for the rest of the world. What do you do for Illinoisans? Asking for a friend. Seriously, what do you do for the citizens of Illinois? Is there anything left for the citizens of Illinois? And yet they want to lecture all the rest of us on there's not that it's a small problem. It's a small amount of this. It's small. No, it's not. No, it's not. Think of this: 120,000 people. What would that rank if you put all of them in one city? What would that rank population-wise, numerically speaking? Like number one is L.A. with 7.8 million, and city number 100 is 150 is Lake Charles with 85,000 or whatever. I wonder where that ranks. That your illegal population, that's just the ones that are bilking off the healthcare system.
So it's California, Florida, New York, New Jersey, then Illinois.
No, I'm asking for in cities. By population, what would a population of 120,000, where would that land you on the largest cities in America scale? That's the question I was asking. It doesn't really matter because you're going to be in the top 100, and that's just that's not the entirety of the illegal alien criminal trespassing population, and that's in one state. No wonder they are pitching hissy fits over the government shutdown and the end of the SNAP program. Speaking of, let's talk about that for just a moment here. There is a graph that you can find out there, households participating in SNAP by U.S. Congressional House District, and the scale goes from 0% basically up to 50. And if you look at this particular map, dark purple, the darkest purple, is more SNAP families, and the closer you, what are you trying to say here, by the way? The closer you get to white, the less SNAP participants. Is that a message, Spock?
That map is racist.
That map is racist. It's just you in Louisiana. Congressional District 5, that's the one that's northeast Louisiana. 24% of all citizens receive SNAP. There is something wrong with us. There is something wrong with a union of states that is organized under the Constitution and a system of government that has a quarter of its citizens who cannot feed themselves. And the most resource-rich and most wealthy in terms of food in the history, you know, it's not good food, but it still is food, in the history of the world. And you got a quarter of your citizens can't buy their own box of macaroni and cheese. You got a quarter of your citizens can't go down to the store and can't figure out how to get the more less desirable cuts of meat and make them go a distance. You know, if you learn how to butcher your own chickens and you buy whole fryers instead of cut pieces that are cut up, you know you save a lot of money like that, right?
Beans and rice.
Maggie said red beans and rice. You are in Louisiana, after all. Where's the number one? Okay, you just look at the map and just look at the dependency there. Here's somebody put a counter map. This is U.S. counties where the population of non-Hispanic white Americans is 90% or higher. If you overlay the white population map on top of the SNAP map, something strange happens. It's almost like one is a negative of the other. Now, why is that? I can't tell you that there aren't poor white trash citizens in Louisiana because we have them in spades. So, but it does indicate sort of a trend there, doesn't it? On the same subject here, it's a headline at thefederalist.com. Nearly half of states ex SCOTUS to end birthright citizenship. Now, I believe that this case is ultimately going to go to the SCOTUS anyway, because Trump's executive orders basically are being implemented. Like Louisiana has already implemented the birthright citizenship parts of the executive orders that he signed way back in January. This needs to come to an end. Now, if you want to talk about something that will upend the proverbial apple cart, stop making citizens out of the citizens of other countries because their children are born here. You will completely decimate and destroy a hundreds of billions of dollars per year industry. It is an industry. Couple that with just, okay, not only are we doing that, we're cutting off HB1 visas. Trump needs to tell his CEO buddies at Apple and Amazon and Scamazon and all the rest of them, yes, that's great. I'm glad. I'm glad. We're the hottest country in the world. It's great to be hot. I'm glad you're doing so well, but you're going to have to start hiring Americans. No more HB1 visas. And besides, you're ripping off America's youth people, the youth. They can't get jobs with you because you'll hire the Indians, not the white little bighorn, not those. I love the Indians, by the way. I love them. They're good people. These are the real problems that plague a union of states. And you can yell secede all you want. If your new state or your new government and your new seceded state is not going to take care of that problem, and you're going to have to do it by affirmation, because if you don't, then who's to say that the illegal alien criminal trespassers in other states are going to go, hey, they started a new government over there. They got all kind of money. They don't have any debt yet, so they're blowing all kind of dough on welfare. The attorneys general of 24 states filed a brief with the U.S. Supreme Court supporting the Trump administration's attempt to stop the invasion through legal loophole of birthright citizenship. Attorneys General Jonathan Skrmetti, Tennessee, and Brennan Byrd of Iowa led the charge alongside nearly every Republican state attorney general in the country with a 37-page brief axing the SCOTUS to side with the Trump administration's argument that the 14th Amendment clearly does not allow for any person born on American soil to automatically become an American citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to argue this today on this show because I've already argued it before. As a matter of fact, I could give the summary argument. I couldn't give you the legal argument, but I could give you the summary argument in an argument Liz Morrell could bring me with her, and I could give the outline of why the court should side with the Trump administration on this, historically speaking. There is no question. As a matter of fact, the court's already pretty much decided this. In the Dobbs case, the abortion case that struck down Roe, in the Dobbs case, in the Colorado, what's that witch's name that sued Trump and the Secretary of State of Colorado, where he won and said that that's not what the 14th Amendment says. The court has already moved in part of the Chevron case. There have been several cases where this court has revisited the miracle amendment, as I call it, the 14th Amendment, and has said, no, that's not why they framed and ratified the 14th Amendment. That's not the purpose of it. The 14th Amendment was not framed and ratified so that a Mexican woman could swim the 9 months pregnant on her delivery day, could swim the Rio Grande, and as soon as her hip bones are on the U.S. side of the U.S.-Mexico border, now, everything above her, belly button to head, can be in Mexico as long as the hip bones and the pelvis are in the United States. The kid popped out, it's an American citizen. I give the example like that to illustrate to people how ridiculous the claim is. No one would make the argument. Well, I don't know, maybe Shifty Melonhead Adam Schiff and Mr. Chairman, my name is Maxine Waters. These are beautiful children, Mr. Chairman. They are the citizens of the United States. No one would make that argument. It's so stupid, fatuous, silly. And that's why I give the ridiculous example of it, because it illustrates the point. And it's about high time that this is done and revisited. And again, if you want to bring an end, most of the demographic problems, if not all of them, here in the U.S. are the result of criminals, of American-based cartels created by American citizens, many of them legislators, that concocted and constructed this system of international immigration grift that they've turned into a damn near $1 trillion a year industry. It is an industry. We are the laughing stock of the world. As a matter of fact, we're the laughing stock of the human race. I wonder what they must think of us in Sri Lanka and the universities and schools in India and Indonesia and other places where they don't even bother with trying to make their own countries great again. They don't even bother. They don't care. They don't care if they have electricity, pretty much. They don't care if they have air conditioning. You know, you go to these countries, the people will go into the Crusader Stadium chat room whenever this comes up, and we'll talk about it. You ever been to one of those countries, one of those Indian countries? You'll never go back. You won't get past the smell, the first thing. They won't. There's no need to make Indonesia great again, or to make India great again, or make Sri Lanka or any of those countries over there to provide us with all of the students that they send here to take out of American jobs. There's no need to make Afghanistan great again, or Pakistan, or any of those other countries, because they can come over here and open a Packy Sack store, an inconvenience store, and we'll pay them to do it. We'll pay them to do it. I think that his heart is in the right place, and I've read the executive orders, and he is trying to bring it to an end. I don't know if he knows about the SBA stuff, and he can only do so much. I hope that they ultimately get to it, because as Jeff Johnson has pointed out, and some of you others, Crusaders have pointed out, many times in your states you see brown-skinned foreigners that do not speak English, or speak it very poorly, who are recent immigrants from whatever country in the middle or the Far East, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or wherever, and all of a sudden they were able to put the money together to buy an inconvenience store. And to start an inconvenience store, you need investment capital because you have to stock it. Not only that, you have to get licenses. You know, they don't get a business license to anyone when you have 5,000-gallon tanks buried in the front of your property that contain volatile things like diesel fuel in them, for example. The gas pumps have to be maintained. You got to get the Secretary of State out there to calibrate them and what have you here. You can't have leakage. You got to monitor all this stuff. This is an enormous responsibility. How in the hell does someone that just got off a boat from Pakistan know how to do any of that? Well, the fact is that they don't. This is why you will see a lot of these stores that these foreigners buy up. As soon as the licenses come up for renewal for gas and stuff, they just let them expire. They just shut the gas pumps down. Because they don't, depending on what state it is, because they don't want to have to go through the licensing process and they don't want to be responsible for it. This is also why a lot of them don't sell alcohol, because they can't get ABC licenses. It's just an outrage, and it needs to be. It needs to come to an end. What else do we have? I love it when my cliches and slogans on this show become popular everywhere else, and I don't get any credit. AMGreatness.com. Arthur Shaper. Headline: Let Kami Mandani take New York City. Everyone is calling him Kami Mandani. I'm pretty sure everyone is not calling him Kami Mandani. Actually, I've changed it now. It's not Zoran the Magnificent. It's Moron, the not magnificent Kami Mandani. Kami Mandani, this thing is going to go to a runoff. Those poll numbers aren't moving. If they are, Cuomo is improving against Mandani. It's going to go to a runoff because Curtis Lee was going to get enough of the vote to prevent and by the way, it's not that he's a commie. You're being misled. Moron, the not magnificent Kami Mandani is a Sharia law. He's not the Manchurian candidate. He's the Mohammedan candidate. So this guy says, why don't I get a chance to read the whole piece? What is he saying? Just let New York eat itself? Again, I don't think. You don't cheer for that. House Oversight Committee releases report declaring Biden's AutoPen pardons and executive actions illegitimate. I think that this is one of the greatest. I agree with people say that this is one of the greatest scandals of our time. We had someone that was feigning to be the president of the United States who was not. He was incapacitated. He was not capable of being president of the United States. The things that he was signing, he wasn't actually signing. You know, we had the most famous example is Speaker of the House Mike Johnson saying that he went down to the White House and he confronted Biden over something that Biden had supposedly signed. And he said, Mr. President, we had a conversation. You gave me your assurance. You weren't going to do this. This is seriously a problem for my state of Louisiana. And Biden said, what are you talking about? And then Johnson says, whatever the bill is or whatever it was. And Biden goes, I didn't sign that. I don't know what you're talking about. And Mike Johnson said, I believed him. I sincerely believe that he had no knowledge of what he had done. Okay, all of you on 990 AM WGA, so you need to go download the app, crusadechannel.com/app to continue listening.
You may not believe it, but Bram Stoker's Dracula may be a work of non-fiction.
What? That's scarier than getting stuck in an elevator with Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, good grief. Really? Come on, I'm trying to be serious here.
Okay. Hear it and other amazing tales on Turley's Believe It or Else, 10 to 11 a.m. Central, every Tuesday on the Crusade Channel. Our app and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Mama's tired, she needs a rest. The kids are playing up downstairs. Sister's sighing in her sleep. Brother's got a date to keep, he can't hang around. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening and it's usually quite loud. Our mum, she's so house proud. Nothing ever slows her down and a mess is not allowed. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house in the middle of our street. Something tells you that you've got to move in the middle of our. Father gets up late for work. Mother has to work.
I need something to listen to challenge my faith and tickle my not-so-nice funny bone.
Well, you won't hear anything about Mondays coming or cheeseburgers in paradise, but you will hear the most brutally honest Catholic-inspired commentary on Parrot Talk. Weekdays.
Oh, this boats, beaches, bars, and ballads fan sees what you did there.
Weekdays at 2 Central on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Live talking podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Hey, it's the King Dude with another free lesson in Stuff You Really Don't Need to Know. Harvest was Great Britain's name for the season that follows summer, until autumn began to displace it at the end of the 16th century. But English immigrants to America preferred fall to autumn. And did you know that fall is caused by the sun setting below the equator in the northern hemisphere sky, also known as the equinox, which continues south to the winter solstice. Here's another seasonal fact for you. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also known as the Carillon de Sacre-Cœur, or the original flag of Quebec. And did you know that our founder's Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag? Order a Sacred Heart flag right now and take $5 off, and I'll throw in a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. You know, don't cost nothing. Hurry, fall is here, and flag flying season in the north is limited. To order, go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us at 844-527-8723. The Carillon de Sacre-Cœur flag will beautify any indoor or outdoor space it flies in, but supplies are limited. So order today at mikechurch.com/flag or call us 844-527-8723. The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Mary Joseph with your Saint of the Day. Today is October 28th, the feast of Saint Simon and Jude, who died in 67. They were apostles of our Lord and were brothers. We are let know what eager and ardent apostles of the faith Saint Simon and Jude were. First, by the distance they traveled to preach the gospel, they went eventually as far as Persia, and also by the names given to them. Saint Simon is called the Zealot, both to distinguish him from Simon Peter and to show his ardor in preaching the true faith. Saint Jude is called Thaddeus, which means big-hearted. Saint Simon was martyred by being crucified. Saint Jude was martyred by being clubbed to death. Both were killed in the same year, and their relics were brought back and placed near those of St. Peter and St. Paul in the Vatican in Rome. St. Jude is the author of one of the epistles in the New Testament. Quote, "Keep yourselves in the love of God, waiting for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ unto life everlasting." End quote. St. Jude writes in his holy epistle. We also know from tradition that St. Jude had a strong resemblance to our Lord, whose cousin he was. And from Dom Guéranger, "I have chosen you and have appointed you that you should go and should bring forth fruit, and your fruit should remain." These words were addressed by the man God to you, O Simon and Jude, as to all the 12, as the Church reminded us in her night office. And yet what remains now of the fruit of your labors in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in Persia? Can our Lord and his Church be mistaken in their words or in their appreciations? Certainly not. Saint Simon and Saint Jude, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow is the feast of Saint Narcissus. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters in the building of our convent by visiting stphilomena.convent.org. I'm Sister Mary Joseph, and until next time, may God bless and Mary keep you.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com.
While Trump continues to try and make America great again
by doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
You forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the King of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio
the way it should be.
Back in the 90s, there was this thing called the cigar boom, where everyone was buying and smoking handmade cigars. But here's the thing. The popular cigars then were the best-made cigars, like Fuente, Joya de Monterrey, and Avo. Over the next 10 years, craftsmanship was replaced by gimmick and slick packaging, and that's when I decided to get in the business and launched El Rey Dude Corona cigars. 20 years later, I launched Mancipio Maria cigars, with that same principle in mind. Make a great handmade cigar, and that's exactly what we do in 4 sizes. I invite you to try a 4-pack sampler of my Mancipia Maria cigars and taste them for yourself in smooth, natural, or bold Maduro wrappers. And to sweeten the deal, I've discounted them 25% for a limited time. And as always, we include a personal humidifier with every order. To order, go to shop.mikechurch.com. Order $50 or more, and shipping is on me. Try my Mancipia Maria cigars today at shop.mikechurch.com.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie's Reconquest has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints.
Well, I'm the new gal at this monastery, and Jiminy Christmas, after 4 years of AutoPen social media heresy, I could use some Catholic philosophy.
Well, call yourself a blessed girl, because new episodes debut Wednesdays at 8 Central, and there's over 475 podcasts available on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and educational radio
the way it should be.
In the era of the Biden regime, the Mike Church Show lives by the creed, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And if that doesn't work, move to Grenada.
Come take my hand, you should know me, I've always been start now, there's no other road to take. You won't make a mistake, I'll be guiding you. You have to believe we are magic, nothing can stand in our way. You have to believe
oh, you gotta love Olivia Neutron Bomb.
Bring all your dreams alive for you.
Fastest 3 hours in all radio and media. The Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Channel as we approach year number 10. And we're in year number 34 of the reign of King Dude the First. Glad to have you with us. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Pass Membership Service. Should be getting free previews out there on the YouTube and on X.com. I invite you to join us. Look at what is happening over at the Benfathers. My take on this is the Benfather is bleeding, not gaining. Bleeding. The red ink is leaching out of the Daily Wire, as many people have realized that the Benfather is an Israel firster and an America laster. And there's so many angles to this. I'm not going to get into all of them. How do I know that they're bleeding? Well, the latest is, okay, let's go after this Pints with Aquinas guy, Matt Fradd. Let's bring some more Catholics in here who will act all Catholic EE and stuff. It is nothing short of, what's the word here? I think it's unprecedented that the man that says that our Lord and Savior is nothing more than a petty, common criminal, if he offers the platform, the clickbait platform with the Daily Wire to you, you will forget all of that, and you will pick up your cross, I guess, and you'll go where the money is. So the Benfather wants to use the popularity of people who do believe that Jesus of Nazareth was Jesus of Nazareth. Specifically those who believe that Jesus of Nazareth and that he started a church called the Catholic Church. So now he's got not one, not two, but now three people that claim Catholicism as the id, if you will, of what it is they talk about. Now, I don't listen to the show, so I couldn't tell you. I do know that Michael Knowles testified in front of Congress yesterday about something that happened. I think we had the sound bites. What was the testimony? He was there because of something that happened in Virginia that he was involved in, I believe. In any event, we'll play the clip. We'll talk about it. I got a letter yesterday that I would like to share with you people to this end. And the letter is from someone who was a former listener who asked me, who responded to my appeal, like, hey, man, you should come back and listen to the Crusade channel. We'd love to have you back. 10-year anniversary's coming up. And then he wrote me and he said this. I enjoyed your show on Sirius XM. You were one of the few radio hosts or citizens in general that truly understands the Constitution. The reason why I have not continued my subscription is your Roman Catholicism. Let me be clear. I am an evangelical Lutheran and believer in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. My issue is not even with your doctrine, although I disagree with much of the Roman Catholic Church's teaching. The problem is that you had made your Sirius XM show into a theological broadcast. I tuned in your show to get an account of current events and your excellent constitutional commentary. I understand it is your show and you have a very strong Roman Catholic beliefs. However, I do not feel the need to pay for your theological commentary. Again, I'm happy that you're a man of God, and in the end, that's all that really matters. If you went back to the old format, I might just subscribe again. So I went, okay, well, I understand that. It's not that I haven't heard that before, because I've only heard that like 35,000 billion times. Especially 10 years ago. I was hearing it every day. Many times a day. So I asked my dear friend Jeff Johnson, who's been with us for 15 years and who's a Baptist. I asked Jeff, I said, Jeff, if I send you something, would you kindly, if you feel that you should, would you kindly respond to this gentleman for me? And so Jeff, being the all-around good guy that he is, Jeff went, oh, shucks, KingDude, you want me to do it? Okay, man, I'll do it. So Jeff wrote him back, and he wrote this. Jeff, I hope I'm not embarrassing. I just want to thank you publicly for this, because I think this is the kind of dialogue that we ought to have. First of all, let me just say, this never was I don't know what a theological broadcast is. Just like you want to live in a theocracy, a Catholic theocracy. Well, first of all, it wouldn't be a theocracy. That's not what it is. The Islamics have theocracies. Sharia law is a theocracy. living under the rule and law of the social kingship and teaching of Jesus is not a theocracy. It is living under the living God's rule and natural law, basically. You don't even need, I mean, you can have it, but you don't even need the supernatural. And if you would just stick to the natural law, we'd be better off than we are today. So Jeff says, as a son of a Baptist minister, I certainly cannot be mistaken for a Catholic. I understand you are worried that it is too Catholic. I have been a big fan of Mike's from when I found him on Sirius. I would bet you will never find better political analysis anywhere today. For the majority of this week, it is the same format as Sirius XM, with the exception of maybe Wisdom Wednesday and then maybe Sermon Sundays, but that's not the Mike Church Show. There is very little content that is mainly Catholic. I am retired now, so I spend my mornings in the stadium chat. Don't tell Mike there are a few Protestants in the chat. Jeff, you think I don't know that? I try to make my chat time about what we have in common. I truly hope that you will consider renewing your subscription. I would love to chat with you in the stadium chat. Sincerely, Jeff John. Just thank you for that. That's how you should talk to people. Don't yell at them and say that you're a heretic and that this is wrong and that's right. You're not going to win anybody over with that kind of an attitude anyway. But I'm taking it back. On the one hand, you had the Ben fathers saying, no, bring me all the Catholics in broadcasting and put them under this roof, even though I don't believe in the reason for the season, if you will, in Catholicism or in Jesus himself. And on the other hand, then you have people out there that accuse me of things like you had it was a theocracy broadcast, and I'm not arguing the point with the gentleman here. Which is it? Well, I believe that what we all ought to be is we should all listen to priests more. I wish there were more bishops that spoke up. I wish I had more. When you see something that's completely and totally wrong in your diocese, in your city, you want your bishop to say, morally speaking, this is. I want to counsel the citizens that this is not a good course of action here, and that church teaching is X, and then go out and live that and teach that. There are very few works. If you went to a library and said, give me the great works on Catholicism and the Catholic faith, you will find very few. I'm not saying that there aren't any, but you will find very few works that were written by lay people. Especially if you go before the modern era. I say the modern era begins in 1960. Super modern era. You will find almost no works that have stood the test of time that are written by laity. Well, then who did all the writing on the wonders and beauties of the faith? Religious and priests, who then became bishops in some instances. Maybe some of them were just hermits, or but they were all committed religious. You know, I got in an argument with someone. I'm like, you can't call that an apostolate. You're not an apostle. Well, my Catholic apostolate is, I might be, it's not an apostolate. Unless you're going to take vows, take a vow seriously, and I'm not saying that we should all do this. Please do not misunderstand. It is the religious, the ones that have committed literally, who help us understand this part of the faith or that part of the faith, teach it, and then act as your spiritual guides. You know, how many of you go have a podcaster that is if you're practicing, if you're a Catholic, my spiritual guide is podcaster Lenny. Really? You don't have a priest that you go to confess to, that you talk about the things that are wrong in your life and you keep sinning? You go to podcaster Lenny? Sounds somehow that doesn't sound correct. So what should we do then? What we should do is that we should all seek us first the kingdom of God and all these things in His justice will be added to. What does it say at the end of the in the prayers after communion? Hoc ad eternitatem. How does this look? How is this viewed in through eternity? Looking at eternity. If you think about that, then you will think about things differently. So you should be then, if you are Catholic and if you want to get into broadcast, you should join the Crusade Radio Guild at some point. And you're a Catholic, you're a broadcaster who is a Catholic. It's not my job. I do not represent the church, and I don't want to. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want my skull to be one of the ones that paved the lower level of hell, that the famous saint said the lowest level of hell is paved with the skulls of bad bishops. I don't want that responsibility. I didn't sign up for it. I didn't take the vows. They're the ones that can preach on the faith. Now, I can talk to you about the things that we do in trying to live the faith, but I am not going to be your source for theological education and virtue. Every now and then, and I'll even say this, I ain't a theologian, I'm just going to tell you what I know about this. I think that this is I think this is a serious problem. I think I'm on the right side of history. Look at the entities that have come out in just the last decade that have, by the way, we will outlive the church militant. And I'm not saying that to dance on Forrest's grave. Look at the entities that come out and proclaim themselves as Catholic media. They don't survive. But then you look at, as my greatest radio producer in the history of radio producers pointed out the other day, there is one that did survive, but it was founded by Mother Angelica. Why? Because she was a Mother Angelica. She appeared in habit. She committed her life, and then you have Eternal Word Television, EWTN, as you know it today. And it has survived. So I just bring this up when I say, I wish you would consider joining the Crusade channel. We want to be your source for news. We want to be your source for talk. We want to be your source for entertainment. And we try to do it all hoc ad eternitatem. And it is seriously, that's a commitment. So, crusadechannel.com/join. You can join today for as little as $5 a month. $5, and you'll be in the listening audience for the 10th anniversary whole show. What is this about these? And thank you very much in advance. And by the way, you can always write to me. You can call me. You know, I send those emails out. I ask people to come back to the Mike Church Show and the Crusade Channel. That's my real email address I put in there. And if you want me to call you, I'll call you. Got this phone right here. Give me your say, I want to talk to you about it. Fine, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. But let's have a conversation. What is this about these monkeys that escaped? Mrs. O'Connell? Now, is this a local story? Yeah. Well, because it says that this is Fox 8 New Orleans, right?
We just talked about it. We just talked about this story.
I did not talk about it. You and I talked about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On the break, I said that's how the zombie apocalypse starts.
Officials said the animals weigh about 40 pounds each, are aggressive towards human, and require personal protective equipment to handle due to the monkeys posing potential health threats. I'd like to know how all these trucks carrying monkeys around crash all the time.
Why are we still transporting them?
Why are we still transporting monkeys that have viruses or whatever it is that they're carrying? Does it say what they're carrying?
Yeah, they had hepatitis. Okay, so these monkeys, for testing purposes, they each weighed about 40 pounds, and they were infected with COVID-19, hepatitis C, and herpes, and they were extremely aggressive towards humans. I wonder why.
Because they were infected with brain-eating viruses. In any event, they are wandering the countries. I guess they're like the escapees from, there are 5 of them. I guess they're like the escape.
3 are still all over.
It's just like the ones that escaped from the New Orleans Parish lockup prison. So one of the monkeys went on Instagram and posted his location, and took a selfie and went, hey!
His new outfit.
He got his new outfit on. It was... You have to hear this soundbite. I would like to play this for you. Playing the digital, can you play the one that I put in the Signal chat? You got to hear this. So President Trump has flown to South Korea, where he will be meeting with Xi Jinping, China. And as Trump is getting off the plane, this is the scene. Listen to the background music the band is playing. They're playing YMCA. And Trump's like, "Hey, how are you? Hey, let me get my little dance move." He gave a little dance move. Play digital media file number 1. Speaking of Trump in South Korea. This is he was actually in Korea.
In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off food stamps. Wages for workers are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And meanwhile, energy prices are down. Gasoline prices are down. Grocery prices are down. Mortgage rates are down, despite the fact that we have an incompetent head of the Fed. He's incompetent. I call him Jerome Too Late. He's always too late. Jerome Too Late Powell. But he's out of there in another couple of months. We'll be very happy about that.
I call him Jerome Too Little, Too Late. And then play the next one. Digital media file number 2. We're just going to go down in order today.
Which is throwing me for a loop.
Throwing you for a loop.
My administration has rejected the old model of incompetent government that punished success and rewarded failure and made building anything almost impossible. When you come into our country, and many of you are doing that, but when you come into America, you're going to get service like you've never seen before. Quick permits. And we want safety. We want great environmental. We want everything good, but it's going to go quickly. We're rewarding those who build and create and hire and invest in the USA, and we're making America the best place on earth to do business in it.
Then why don't just bring the Federal Reserve to an end? I actually think that the July 4, 2026, that there is a plan, and that the gold standard is going to, or gold is going to figure into the future. As like Mike Parrott and I talked about during this hour yesterday, the one thing that could restore, first of all, you got to pay the debt down. You have to offload many of the long-term unfunded liabilities. And then the last thing you got to do is you have to stabilize the currency and restore it so that it can be linked to something that is stable. Gold is something that is stable. I mean, you can link it to silver if you wanted to, but your gold historically is what you link it to. Fractional reserve banking, which I know that he is a fan of, but I think the fractional reserve banking, you know, the highest office on earth is the papacy. Pope Leo XIV is a lot of things, and he's not a lot of things, but one thing that he has spoken loudly about is the U word, usury. He's actually put the word back into people's vocabulary, and they're going, what is this usury? I've never even heard of this. That's a good thing that you haven't heard of it. It's a terrible thing that you haven't heard of it. Now, I want to talk about the SNAP funding. Play number 6, see? I threw you for a loop. Now we're going to skip ahead. And she's not a senator. She's a representative, isn't she? Rosa DeLauro. It doesn't matter. Number 6. Number 6.
Of the Empowerment Control Act of 1974. The contingency funding that we set aside for SNAP is not optional spending. It is required by the law. We appropriated that money for this purpose. The White House must spend it, and what they are doing right now, blocking these funds from going out, is illegal. As a matter of fact, on October 1st, they took $750 million from this fund to deal with paying benefits in Puerto Rico and providing administrative costs to other states. So they acknowledge that this fund can be used in order to deal with SNAP benefits. There is nothing stopping the Trump administration from making sure that every single one of the 42 million Americans,
you're
16
stopping
million children, 8 million seniors, 4 million people with disabilities, 1.2 million veterans received nutrition assistance in November. And we are at a cost of living crisis with skyrocketing food costs. And President Trump is doing right now is using the fear that so many working people have about where their next meal is coming from as a political bargaining chip. Does anyone actually...
There's so many things to unpack about that, the least of which is the Budget Impoundment Act of 1974 cannot make the executive spend anything. It makes you spend it. You appropriate it. He has to execute it. What he's telling you is your goon buddies in the Senate have not appropriated that funding, and therefore he can't spend it. This is going to get really interesting.
Hey, Jim, remember when we used to be like Joe Walsh?
I get records, my fans, they can't wait.
Now we just talk about making hit records. Well, parody versions of hit records.
Join the KingDude and Jim Mosier as they pick apart the greatest parody songs of all time and the hits they were based on. It's album Autopsy, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be, and doesn't disappoint your mother.
The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Sister Mary Joseph with your Saint of the Day. Today is October 28th, the feast of Saints Simon and Jude, who died in 67. They were apostles of our Lord and were brothers. We are let know what eager and ardent apostles of the faith Saint Simon and Jude were. First, by the distance they traveled to preach the gospel, they went eventually as far as Persia, and also by the names given to them. Saint Simon is called the Zealot, both to distinguish him from Simon Peter and to show his ardor in preaching the true faith. Saint Jude is called Thaddeus, which means big-hearted. Saint Simon was martyred by being crucified. Saint Jude was martyred by being clubbed to death. Both were killed in the same year, and their relics were brought back and placed near those of St. Peter and St. Paul in the Vatican in Rome. St. Jude is the author of one of the epistles in the New Testament. Quote, "Keep yourselves in the love of God, waiting for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ unto life everlasting." End quote. St. Jude writes in his holy epistle. We also know from tradition that St. Jude had a strong resemblance to our Lord, whose cousin he was. And from Dom Guéranger, "I have chosen you and have appointed you that you should go and should bring forth fruit, and your fruit should remain." These words were addressed by the man God to you, O Simon and Jude, as to all the 12, as the Church reminded us in her night office. And yet what remains now of the fruit of your labors in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in Persia? Can our Lord and his Church be mistaken in their words or in their appreciations? Certainly not. Saint Simon and Saint Jude, pray for us. Thank you for joining us for this brief summary of the lives of today's saints. Tomorrow is the Feast of St. Narcissus. To access all of our Saint of the Day recordings as podcasts, head to crusadechannel.com/saints. You can learn more about our sisters in the building of our convent by visiting stphilomena.convent.org. I'm Sister Mary Joseph, and until next time, may God bless and Mary keep you.
Do you hear that, Maggie?
Do I hear what?
You don't hear the sound of bees buzzing about?
No, I see the result of that buzzing about and these beautiful new beeswax candles.
We sell candles now?
Not just any candles. These are handmade beeswax candles.
Well, that explains me imagining bees.
And they come in different sizes. There's a votive, a 3-day, and a 7-day size too.
Well, that should start a buzz in the store.
It better, or you'll get the buzz.
Order handmade beeswax candles today while supplies last at shop.mikechurch.com.
Okay, please enter the 9-digit 2-step authorization code we just emailed you. Jeez. What do you mean, prove I'm human? Okay, that's a car. That's a car. That's a car. Those are not cars. Please try again. Oh my gosh. I'll show you. Try again, stupid piece of AI mother. Here, try this.
Jim, what are you doing? Good grief, man. This isn't Office Space the movie. What are you trying to do?
I just wanted to send the KingDude a donation through the stupid computer.
Like Trump, the KingDude makes everything better, including donating, which you can now do by mail.
Mail? They still have that?
Of course they do, and the KingDude's keeping the ponies running on time and in business. Just snail mail your donation to P.O. Box 400, Madisonville, Louisiana, 70447.
Ha! And you can't. You're such a boomer. Me this time. And wait a minute. I know they're around here somewhere. There! Ha-ha!
Dude, those are airmail stamps from the movie Airplane. Surely you have...
Of course I do. And don't call me Shirley. The Crusade Radio Guild is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, so your donations are tax deductible. Donate today, the Crusade Radio Guild, P.O. Box 400, Madisonville, Louisiana, 70447.
Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday, an hour of radio so full of deep thoughts. Proving it actually makes the KingDude sound smarter than liberals and Decepticons think he is.
How do you know she is a witch? She looks like one. Bring her forward.
I'm not a witch. I'm not a witch.
But you are dressed as one.
They dressed me up like this. And this isn't my nose. It's a false one.
Well?
Well, we did do the nose, but she's a witch.
Wisdom Wednesdays, your ticket to the truth that comes included with your Veritas Radio Network subscription, exclusively on Crusade.
Why do you think that is? I mean, why is that? I mean, is it just because people are lazy today or they're bored? I mean, are we just like bored, spoiled children who've just been lying in the bathtub all day, just playing with their plastic duck, and now they're just thinking, well, what can I do?
Okay, yes, we are bored. We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks, and it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. And when I was at Findhorn, I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's 84 years old. He always travels with a backpack because he never knows where he's going to be tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York, yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket and he took out a seed for a tree and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late." See, actually for 2 or 3 years now, Chiquita and I have had this very unpleasant feeling that we really should get out. And we really should feel like Jews in Germany in the late 30s. Get out of here. Of course, the problem is where to go, because it seems quite obvious that the whole world is going in the same direction. See, I think it's quite possible that the 1960s represented the last burst of the human being before he was extinguished. And that this is the beginning of the rest of the future now, and that from now on there'll simply be all these robots walking around, feeling nothing, thinking nothing. And there'll be nobody left almost to remind them that there once was a species called a human being, with feelings and thoughts, and that history and memory are right now being erased, and soon nobody will really remember that life existed on the planet.
Talking away. I don't know what to say. I'll say it anyway. Today is another day to find you shying away. I've been coming for your love, okay? Turn on me. Take on me.
All aboard that's coming aboard. The freight train of truth is leaving MAGA Station. Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Channel's portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. Get your hands on a great new book called The 12 Rules of Manliness by Bear Wozniak. Right alongside the Weird Catholic Handbook and many, many other new releases that are all right there in the Founders Trading Post store at about the time we got back to reading, I think. And you can find them at shop.mikechurch.com. We got a brand new shipment of Capuchin Holy Roast, blended coffee and whole bean and grind just Friday. Now, because they ground it right down the street on Thursday and prepared it and everything, this is as fresh as you can get it. Unless you live next door to the roastery, you can't get it any fresher than this. So pick yourself up a bag or 16 today at shop.mikechurch.com. And thank you very much. Remember, your purchases, and there's so many. Check out the digital download section. I've been noticing lately people have been downloading the digital audio file version of The Spirit of 76, for example. You want to learn about the Constitution? That's a great way to do it. Spirit of 76 digital download, or the 3 CD set, all in the same place. The Founders Trading Post store since 2003 has been serving all of you. Don't forget to get you a Mike Church Show a neon microphone t-shirt, all the same place, shop.mikechurch.com. Lots of t-shirts there. On sale, shop.mikechurch.com. I love this, what is it? What's the word? Nostalgia. The nostalgia that happens when we play My Dinner with Andre. And we hear, you haven't played this in such a long time, TK. This is a great soundbite. Well, we used to play it every week, and it takes up 3 minutes and 12 seconds, so it's kind of long. And after a while, most people kind of knew it by heart. I could just start it off, and most of you could probably finish the conversation between Wallace Shawn, the Sicilian, and Anthony Gregory. So that's why I like to throw it in every now and then, just kind of remind people, and there are new listeners from time to time. Oh, glory be for that day, when a newbie shows up and announces themselves in the chat room. So happy to play it. And since we're going down memory lane, tomorrow night, well, you can get it on YouTube. You guys can play it every day if you want. You can play it 10 times. Hell, you can watch the movie, My Dinner with Andre. I think it's on one of the streaming services now. It's included in your membership if you have it. I want to say it's on Prime. Tomorrow night's Thursday Night Throwdown is under the title of Songs You Know by Heart. Of course, now, this makes people erupt in laughter in Signal chat groups. And, oh, that's funny, that's a good one. No, it's actually like, think of it as Name That Tune. So the way that it should work is we should break up into teams, like on the old TV show Password. And I'll say to someone, I'll give you the first line from the song, and if you can't give me the next one, then it's not a song you know by heart. If I say to you, well, a friend of mine named Steve Goodman wrote that song, you should be able to finish the sentence. And if you can't, number one, you're not a good country boy. And number two, you don't know good music when you hear it. So that's what it is. As a matter of fact, it comes from a Jimmy Buffett album. His first greatest hits album was Songs You Know by Heart. Because you're supposed to know that if I said nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake, can you finish the sentence? That's a song that you know by heart. And I think we should break into teams. I'll pick you, Jeff. You and I will be a team. And then if you miss one, then we go to the losers bracket. So we'll need at least 6 people in the chat room for Thursday Night Throwdown tomorrow night. Songs you know by heart. Should be fun. Should be an easy one. Everybody should be able to play. Everyone should want to play, and you should all show up. Now, I know that you won't, but you should. I want this clip number 5 from Michael Knowles, testifying in Congress yesterday about political violence. Thank you, Louise. All right. Johnson, you're out. Louise, you're in. It's me and Louise tomorrow night.
4 or 5?
No, I want 5. There you go.
I think Senator Booker made a good point just a moment ago when he said we have to self-examine. We have to be introspective. And, I can't help but think of a line today. Jay Jones has the vision, commitment, and integrity to keep families safe and make sure every Virginian gets a fair shake in the justice system. I'll be working every day to ensure Jay wins this race. That's the endorsement of Senator Booker for a man who would seek to be the Attorney General of Virginia. This is a man who, if people have not been reading the news, has called for a Republican to be murdered, for his children to be murdered, for the children to die in their mother's arms in order to persuade the Republican to change his policy views, and a man who says that he would urinate on the graves of multiple Republicans. Senator Booker, in this spirit of introspection, is standing by this endorsement. So I suppose I would invite, perhaps I should have looked, because Senator Booker has left the room, and I think I can guess why. Senator Booker, I think, should practice what he preaches, because this is the kind of moment. You cannot have a professor who wants to teach students and is going to desire to kill half of them. You certainly cannot have law enforcement officers who would engage in this kind of violent rhetoric against half of their constituents. So long as anyone stands by an endorsement such as that, their words are meaningless. They are shedding crocodile tears on the topic of political violence.
Go Michael Knowles for the win, dude, bro. That is a phenomenal point, brother. I love it. You can't have a school teacher who hates half of her class and just wants to kill them. You can't run a society like that. You can't have an attorney general of a state that says half of you have. He has Maggie's T-shirt, except it's not Jesus with his arms extended. It's Satan. Disappointments, all of you. That is a great point. You have these political offices and these titles and these departments and what have you that are headed up by people that have to answer to everyone. Let's take the SNAP program that Rosa DeLauro was whining about. You have to fund it. They have to do this. No, you can't have your... that's not what the law says. And you know that's not what the law says. I'm going to stand by my point, and I'm going to say you are watching the destruction of the Democrat Party. They can end this today. They can end it today. Just go in there and say, all right, let's have a vote. Because on November the 1st, what is going to happen at Walmart on November the 2nd? Let's just say that there was a vote on Halloween this Friday to end the government shutdown and to vote for the continuing resolution. And they vote on and they say, rush it down to Trump. Trump says he'll sign it. And then everybody can get their government cheese and milk, even though you don't even get that anymore. Well, we'll put the funding back on your SNAP card and you can go grocery shopping and do this and that and the other. All will be right with the world, yes. 41 million Americans can go back to suckling on the federal teat, being a parasite. Now, to be sure and to be clear, there are people that are in need, and we will take care of them. Again, why is no one... I guess we're the best kept secret in media. Maybe I should make a tweet about this, and somebody might see and go, we should have that guy on our TV show. Why has no one said what Mike Church has said here on the Crusade channel? Stop whining about this. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Stop whining about this, Liberty University, or I'm not picking on anyone. Stop whining about this Christian man or woman. This is your chance to prove Christ is king and that Christianity is the answer to all of the problems of human beings. That Christ, the king, is the answer. You need food. We live in a resource-rich land. We will drive the trucks. We will raise the food, and we will feed you. Christians can do this. This is not there's no question mark at the end of this sentence. And I don't know why we don't see men saying what I'm saying. Like, what an opportunity to bring SNAP to an end. Bring it to an end. If it needs to be administered, it can be administered to employees with the federal government who fall on hard times because maybe they're a two-income family and one person gets sick. You can have it for that. Otherwise, the states themselves are going to have to provide it, and it will go away. And you know what will rise in its place? Work. Families, stability. Will it be perfect? No, we're humans. Perfection is up there in heaven. You don't live in heaven. You live on earth. This is a test. You will be quizzed on it. But this is the magnificent opportunity for the Christian and certainly the Catholic people of the United States to start speaking up loudly and going like, hey, all of you want SNAP? Worried about November the 1st? Don't worry. Here in the town of Covington, Louisiana, we've asked all the churches to do food drives at All Saints' Day Masses this Sunday. We're going to be collecting thousands of pounds of tons of food at Catholic churches in this diocese, and then we're just going to call the food bank people and say, where do you want it? Where would you like us to deliver this? You know, some of these food banks won't take the food because it's perishable. So it may be that volunteers are going to have to volunteer. But you see my point here. You can bellyache about the size and the scope of the federal government all you want, but when an opportunity comes along to actually kibosh it and put an end to part of it, and to, look, this is charity. This is real charity. Sometimes for real people. I don't believe that 41 million people are destitute and are incapable of feeding themselves. Are there people in that number? I'm sure there are. No one is stepping up to the plate. Well, you're right, Tar Heel Militia. They seem to believe that charity is a function of government. It's not. Jesus did not say, go gather the Pharisees and Pilate and get together and feed the hungry, clothe the sick, and tend to the clothe the naked, and tend to the sick, and visit prisoners. He didn't tell the Pharisees and Pilate and the Roman Praetorians to do it. He told you to do it. Yes, we can make American charity great again. Great. I don't know why. There is no one stepping up to the plate. And I'm the only one that seems to have this opinion. Is it wrong? I must be really weird. It must be just a really weird, what do you mean Christians can feed the poor? Well, if you were to go back to any history in all of Christendom Europe, you would find how many canonized saints are canonized because of their love for the poor. St. Vincent de Paul. I just go to a few famous ones. Maggie, one of your favorite saints, St. John Bosco. What is St. John Bosco? To teach the children. Or the church ran the schools. St. John Bosco raised the funds. He raised the funds for the food, everything. I just picked two. There are literally thousands of them. So there is all of that. There is an opportunity there, and unfortunately, you don't hear anyone talking about it. Let's proceed from the point of view that this is the fault of the Demoncrat Party. This is the party that has said it loves the poor. It is the defender of the working man. It picks up the slack. We stand for the dignity of those that don't have a fair shake. So a fair shake is a share now is being now revealed. A fair shake or a fair share is now being revealed as a fair share of what someone else has earned and has been stolen from them by this thing called taxation, so it can be given to them and laundered through this thing called a government and then given to them. I think people are on to the grift here, but what's going to happen on November the 2nd at Walmart? Are the guys that are at the door with the blue vests, are they going to be told, okay, when the 500-pound woman comes through here on her buggy, on her motorized cart, and you know that she has a SNAP card and there's no money on it, and she throws $200 worth of junk food into the basket on her motorized buggy and doesn't go to the checkout line, it goes right out the door, are they going to be told to stop these people? I'm seriously, I'm asking the question here. What's going to happen at your local grocery store? You know, at Beatico, they already have a sign up, not accepting EBT or SNAP cards anymore. There are lots of local, small, regional, and locally owned stores just in this little area right here that have already said, yeah, we don't take SNAP or EBT anymore. They got ahead of this, and they were like, you know what? If you got to use a SNAP card, because you know they have to, it's just like Medicare reimbursement. It's horrible. It's a terrible system. We should talk about the AutoPen controversy as well. Anyone that thought that someone was home at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and his name was Joseph Robinette Biden thought wrong. I think we should get a list. You should start thinking about all the things that happened from 2021 to 2024, especially as you get closer to 2024. All the things that happened that required a signature and the permission, if you will, of the supposed president of the United States, who was Joseph Robinette Biden. If he didn't authorize it because he didn't know what he was doing, well, then who did? And under what authority? The 23rd Amendment is pretty clear about the incapacitation. That's basically, they should call it the Biden Clause. You have an amendment in there specifically written for a Biden. You know, you should think about this. It's 25. It's the 25th Amendment. 25th Amendment. We should think about this. That Congress actually had to write an amendment to the Constitution because people were being elected president and they were so old and decrepit they were dying in office? What the hell is wrong with us? You can't find a man who's worthy of being governor of Virginia. You can't find a man now who's worthy of discharging so many offices, so you have to turn to women. We'll talk about it when we come back.
It's the WWE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio, the way it should be.
Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all 3 spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the KingDude offers you his personal money-back guaranteed of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a KingDude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mychurch.com.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via CrusadeChannel.com. Crusade Channel News. News you can trust.
Because let's face it, the truth just sounds different, like a symphony of facts.
And now, from the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley reporting for the Crusade Channel News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. Today's newscast is brought to you by the 2ALibertyWatchCompany.com. Watches that express your love of the Second Amendment, American liberty, and President Trump, all beautifully crafted and endorsed by Mike Church. Shop their stylish line of watches today at 2AWatchCompany.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Netanyahu orders new Israeli military strikes on Gaza. Hurricane Melissa makes landfall in Jamaica, causing life-threatening flooding and catastrophic winds. Ohio uncovers over 1,000 non-citizens appearing registered to vote since 2018, and AI's bad medical advice. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered fresh military strikes on the war-torn Gaza Strip on October 28th, after accusing Hamas of violating a ceasefire put in place earlier in the month. He directed the military to immediately carry out forceful strikes in the Gaza Strip, his office said yesterday. The ceasefire deal obligates Hamas, an internationally designated terrorist group, to return all hostages it has held in Gaza, including both the living and the dead. Hurricane Melissa made its catastrophic landfall along the southwestern coast of Jamaica yesterday afternoon, lashing the Caribbean island nation with destructive winds, torrential rain, and storm surge. Life-threatening flooding and storm surge was ongoing in western Jamaica as millions of residents prayed for safety while remaining sheltered in place. According to the National Hurricane Center, it was near New Hope, Jamaica, a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 185 miles an hour landed around 1 o'clock Eastern Time. An investigation by Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose has uncovered over 1,000 non-citizens who appear to have registered to vote unlawfully in Ohio. His office announced yesterday. LaRose says he has referred all 1,084 cases to the DOJ, noting that 167 of the individuals appear to have cast a ballot in a federal election since 2018. LaRose's office also referred 135 others for potential prosecution, citing evidence of other unlawful voting activity. Our quote of the day: "Even if I must suffer greatly, thanks be to God's mercy, I will not lack courage." Genoveva Torres Morales. And coming up, our saint of the day, who lived in 2nd and 3rd century Jerusalem, where it couldn't have been easy, but still managed to live well beyond the age of 100. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. While Trump continues to try and make America great again
By doing Mortal Kombat with the Clinton, Comey, and Clapper crime families.
You forgot the...
Nope, did not. And the king of Russia treason, the Obama father.
Well, we'll always be there for you with the best live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Today we celebrate Saint Narcissus of Jerusalem. Life in 2nd and 3rd century Jerusalem had to have been difficult, but Saint Narcissus managed to live well beyond 100. Some even speculate he lived to 160. Details of his life are sketchy, but there are many reports of his miracles. The miracle for which Narcissus is most remembered was turning water into oil for use in the church lamps on Holy Saturday when the deacons had forgotten to provide any. We do know that Narcissus became Bishop of Jerusalem in the late 2nd century, and he was known for his holiness. But there are hints that many people found him harsh and rigid in his efforts to impose church discipline. One of his many detractors accused Narcissus of a serious crime at one point. Though the charges against him didn't hold up, he used the occasion to retire from his role as bishop and live in solitude. His disappearance was so sudden and convincing that many people thought he was dead. Several successors were appointed during the years in isolation, and finally, Narcissus reappeared in Jerusalem and was persuaded to resume his duties. By then, he had reached an advanced age, so a younger bishop was brought in to assist him until his death. Not so fast reaching for that phone for medical advice, at least as far as AI is concerned, because consulting AI for medical advice is proving to be a mistake, according to an article in the New York Post. Many documented cases confirm that generative AI has provided harmful, incomplete, or inaccurate health advice since becoming widely available in 2022. A lot of patients will come in and they will challenge their doctor with some output they have, a prompt that they gave into, let's say ChatGPT, according to a research service chief of spine surgery for the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, who told the New York Post the problem is that what they're getting out of these AI programs is not necessarily real scientific recommendation with an actual publication behind it. About a quarter of them are made up. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah, but besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Performing this show with 83.2% of my testosterone and intelligence tied behind my back, just to make it fair. Because it's not fair to have to compete with intellectual pygmies that populate radio and podcasting airwaves these days. It's the Mike Church Show here. El Jefe Dude, Marcus Tullius Meridius Maximus, Augustus Dude, the Duty Llama, reporting for duty on a Wisdom Wednesday. Call-in line telephone number 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. There is a, lots of stuff going on. This from, okay. What happened to the climate crisis? I'm just going to ask the question. What happened to the climate crisis? The planet's got a favor. Where'd it go? We're 9 months in now, and the Trump administration turned 2.0, and seemingly have the sea levels stopped rising? What about the endless brush fires that Gruesome Newsom said were going to erupt all over California if we didn't tend to the climate crisis? What happened to it? Remember, there were going to be no more snow seasons in the Colorado Rockies, and there was all sorts of calamities. Parts of Florida, according to Al Gore, in 2002, Al Gore gave a speech to the United Nations where he said that if we don't do something about the rising sea levels and the climate crisis and global warming, then parts of Florida that are currently on the coast are going to be underwater. Okay, where are they? Where is Florida's Atlantis? What happened? Or, better than that, what didn't happen? Well, the answer to the question is there never was a climate crisis. The planet didn't have a favor. And if it did, actually, a warming planet grows more food. There's a latitude line that you can draw across where Canada, present-day Canada is today, where anything above that, you don't farm. So you shouldn't live above that, basically. Anything below that, just depending on how much further south you get, stuff grows. Well, if the planet were actually to warm, what are you afraid of? The ice caps are going to melt. It's never going to get warm enough so that Antarctica or the Arctic is going to get below freezing. There's no sunlight up there. And I bring this up because I'm just surprised that Trump has not set the world on fire. The climate crisis seems to have disappeared. Jeff Childers brings this up, COVID and coffee. Bill Gates says climate change will not lead to humanity's demise now. What? Wasn't Gates the one that was, we're all gonna die? He's changed his mind. He's evolved his position, pivoted. Climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, but it will not lead to humanity's demise. The people in the poorest countries, like in Nigeria. Remember my conversation with Susie Pinto? What's wrong with Nigeria? Government. There's nothing wrong with Nigeria. You'd have to buy billions of tons of Roundup to stop things from growing in Nigeria. Same with Cameroon and the western coast of Africa. So I bring this up. It looks like the world's the Cassandras of the world were all wrong. Here's a question though: how many trillions of dollars were squandered in the effort to stop the climate crisis, and are still being spent? Interesting question. Let's talk about what's going to happen on November the 1st. Now, people are saying that I'm going to bet you. Y'all should take you should have gentlemen's wagers in the Crusader Stadium chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. You should have gentlemen's wagers in there on whether or not Schumer cracks on Friday. I don't know why he would crack now. Schumer cracks on Friday and then votes for the CR, and then all the rest of them will vote for because they don't want to be seen as enemies of the poor people. That would forestall what is about to happen. There's one comment in the chat room. I don't know if this is true. I have to independently confirm this, so I'm just going to take Philip's word for it, that apparently in parts of Massachusetts where there are Walmarts, Walmart is going like online orders only, prepaid, and curbside pickup. Now, can you see the obvious danger with that? And there is a danger with that. Who's going to guard the Walmart workers that are going to push the buggies out into the parking lot to offload the groceries into the Widow Jenkins's car? And how do you know that the 450-pound fat woman on her fat cart, who's been snapping her way to 450 pounds, isn't going to be there with whatever to try and run the guy over and steal the cart? So Maggie is saying that she can confirm that Massachusetts Walmarts are prepaid only. Now, I think that the smarter play here is to just stop taking the EBT and the SNAP cards. And to put people back, okay, where are you going to get your food at? Well, you better locate a soup kitchen quick if it's really dire. But I think that the other answer to this is just go out and get a job. There will be plenty of work to go around when you chase the illegal alien criminal trespassers out and you suspend the HB1 visa program. No one will be out of work if you don't want to be. But it's interesting that there is this robust conversation amongst all of you in the chat room about dealing with SNAP benefits and people that that are on the program and shouldn't be. Look, Maggie, you'll remember this. Remember when Obama was president? I can't remember the exact year. I'm just going to guess.
I remember Obama's stash.
Yeah. Why are you here? To get some money. What kind of money? Obama money. Where'd Obama get it from? He's the president. I don't know, his stash, but he giving it to us. That's not the moment I'm talking about. Remember in 2012, 2013, was the inspiration for me writing the song Obama Phone, the EBT phone. Remember that one? That song was actually inspired by something that happened at the local Winn-Dixie. Remember, I went to the Winn-Dixie because we would get our snacks and stuff for the old Studio D from the Winn-Dixie down the street, and I would usually volunteer, okay, I'll go down there. And one day I went to the Winn-Dixie, and I got the potato chips and beef jerky and whatever the hell else that we had for snacks. And I'm standing on line behind this woman. Black woman. Not that it would have mattered. Black woman standing in line in front of me has the brand newest, whatever the iPhone was then. Let's just say it was a 9. I don't know what it was. But it was brand new. She had the $300 manicure, right? The longest, most perfectly manicured nails with the little gems glued on the fingernails and all that crap. Had the hair extensions. She was wearing DKNY clothes. She got out of a Cadillac Escalade. I saw her go into the store. This witch is standing in line in front of me with a basket full of crap, throws it up on the belt in front of me, and then flashes the EBT card. And it bounced. It won't go through. And I'm standing there going, you have to be flipping kidding me. So the poor pimple-faced kid that's working that particular register is trying to get a manager over there because she's starting to get hot and bothered. She calls someone up and she went, I don't know, but I'm stuck in this stupid line at Wendy's because they can't take my EBT card. 5 minutes or so later, they finally they figured out that the EBT card didn't have a balance on it. Just to get rid of her, they just told her, like, just go. She was making, just go, just get out of here. I watched this witch walk out that door with that food that crap that she did not pay for, and get into a Cadillac Escalade and drive away on her phone. Her Obama phone. Remember?
When I think back on all the jobs I worked in high school, I just wonder why I worked at all. And though my lack of motivation hasn't hurt me none, I still need you fighting guts from Paul. Mama, oh, you gave us those nice cash clunkers. You made us all free school lunchers. Makes us think all hard work's a sunny day. Oh yeah, I got an iPhone camera. My EBT is paid for half. Obama, don't take my mobile phone away.
Now, this is a true story. They really were Obama phones.
All the dough I blew on dap on singles, brought them all to blow at Occupy. I know they never match my sweet mom's mad frustration, or pay a thing towards food and attic lights. Mama, oh, you gave us those nice cash clunkers. You made us all free school lunchers. Make us think all hard work's a funny day. Oh yeah, I got an iPhone camera. My EBT is paid for half. Obama, don't take my mobile phone away.
Now, this song is based on a reality. There were over at one point in time, I forget the number, but it was in the millions of Obama phones. You could take your Snap card, your EBT card, into some stupid program, and all you had to do was you went to an AT&T store or whatever, showed them your Obama phone credentials, and bammo, they gave you a new phone, and they put it on the government's tab. We pay for it, in other words. Now, I don't know if that program is still alive and kicking. I don't know if it is. I hope it isn't. But we're not talking about kids with distended bellies from the Sudan. That is not what we have redefined racism, we've redefined woman, we've redefined poverty. And we've done it all in the post-Christian era because we kicked God out. So, again, what's going to happen on November the 2nd, if you lived in a Christian society and you had people there are 41 million people now that are not going to have charges or not going to have money put on their EBT cards, and Walmart is the number one retailer in the United States for the cashing in of EBT cards. What is Walmart saying by saying that, yeah, you can only shop online, prepaid only, pickup, and at the pickup service? What is Walmart basically saying? You're on your own. The biggest retail corporation in the world is saying it has no assistance. It is not going to assist. It is actually going to try and protect its stockholders and its profits. And this has all been brought about by what? You said elections don't matter, they don't have consequences, everything is, this is going to be the same, that's going to be the same. You never saw a government shutdown, and you never saw an end to the giveaways. We've all seen the abuses. You know, Liz Morrell, the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana, has been publishing on her X.com. You should follow her. Because hardly a day goes by they weren't busting someone that was living an opulent lifestyle, was driving 2 and 3 vehicles around, brand new ones, and was using Louisiana-issued EBT cards to pay for their food, when in fact they had the means to provide for themselves. I think that the longer this goes on, the more sane, rational people come to the conclusion that it was an illusion that the governments of the United States and of the several states actually ever lifted anyone out of poverty, and that this whole damn thing was nothing more than a scam. And the American public had to pay for it. Maybe the American public and the MAGA, many people will become MAGA people now to go like, sorry, dude, you're on your own. You know, when they had this thing called the Great Depression, they actually had, you know, this is interesting. People that lived on farms didn't know there was a depression. If you lived on a farm or you lived out in the country and you knew your neighbors and you grew your own eggs and chickens and what have you, and you knew where to get cow's milk because there was a Farmer Brown down the street and what have you, you didn't even know that there was this thing called a depression. In other words, it wasn't felt by everyone because government at that point in time hadn't taken everything over. There were not stories of people that were starving, that starved to death, that actually literally starved to death during this thing called the Great Depression. Quite the opposite. So then, remember, Franklin Delano Obama Roosevelt, all we have to fear is fear itself. How many people, they usually say, remember the 5th of November. Well, it's different this year. It's remember the 1st of November. We should have T-shirts made up. Remember the 1st of November. And if Schumer and the Demoncrats don't crack, because you know what they're thinking? They're thinking that Trump will not do this. You know what Trump would probably do? This would put. Do you remember what happened after the great flood in East Baton Rouge Parish in 2017? No. It was 2016 because it was the summer of 2016. Remember, we got something like 13 trillion gallons of rainwater in places that never flooded before in Ascension Parish and in East Baton. This is where the Cajun Navy first came around. The first time we ever saw the Cajun Navy was during that flood. How many people remember what candidate and citizen Trump's response to that flood was? I do, right? Remember it? Oh, pick me. I remember. You know do you remember what he did? And they were in the Democrats and John Emperor Bell Bonaparte IV. He's just coming here, he's just grandstanding. He doesn't blah, 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 blah. What did you do, fat boy? You did nothing. You know what Trump did? Trump had one of the Trump International planes loaded up. They loaded the belly of that joker up with food, and they flew it and landed in Baton Rouge. And he said, look, I don't want to disrupt your relief efforts and all that. You know, people that are not assisting in the relief, we need trucks to come pick the food up. And the Cajun Navy sent people, and they had a line of semis that were lined up there. And they flew one Trump plane in, then they flew a second Trump plane in, and they were offloading the food onto the trucks. And they were like, no, look, dude, you're good people, right? You're going to bring it to the people. And they were like taking the food and stuff to Winn-Dixie parking lots, places that were still dry and weren't flooded. And people were going, they were picking food up. My point is that he paid for it. He wasn't president. He was Citizen Trump. And he came down here, and he was here I remember Mike Pence even came with him. And he came down here, and as I said, the Democrat Party of Louisiana made fun of him, did this, that, and the other. And my point on the radio at that time was, yeah, but look what he did, dude. Look what he did. And he did it of his own free will and volition and out of his own pocket. So my point in stating and saying all this is on November the 1st, will there be a massive outpouring of private charity. And again, whether it's Christian or not, I wish it would be Christian, the message ought to be keep it closed. We don't need government to fix this. We need Americans to fix this. I think it's the best thing that could happen. I really do. I'm going to pray that Schumer doesn't crack. All right. Those of you that are what are the what is the morning line in Vegas this morning that Schumer cracks on Halloween? FanDuel takes bets on everything else. Are they taking bets on this? On whether sports, DraftKings and MGM's bet and ESPN. Can I bet on whether or not the Demoncrats take the deal? Or they don't? And I want to know what the odds are. What odds? And I'm talking about because they're going to have a vote on Halloween. You watch, they're going to have one on Halloween. And Thune's going to get there and go, like, it's your last chance. The people are going to blame you. If there are lines tomorrow for snap cards, they're not going to blame me. They're going to blame you, bro. And if they don't, you got Thanksgiving coming up and all this stuff, then it's up to Americans to fix this. It's up to Americans to feed your neighbor. It's up to Americans to go like, hey, person down the street, I heard that you're on a hard time. Well, you come on down to our house. You can have Thanksgiving with us. We got you covered. Bring the kids. No problem. You know, it's a good thing to see in the Crusader Stadium chat room. I wish there were 160,000 people in there saying this. That's exactly right, TK. It only starts to get fixed if the shutdown remains. I think that is actually that's a blessing that they would say in disguise. Now, you're not allowed to say you're dancing under graves of poor people. Have you seen these poor people? They don't look very poor.
It's not tape or a Post-it or a candy bar, but this new 3M
is the freshest spin on true crime shows since dinosaurs were solving cold cases with fossil evidence. Yeah, it's that original, folks.
Mom's Murders and Mysteries. New episodes debut every Tuesday night, 6:30 East, 4 West, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk podcast radio, the way it should be.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. This report brought to you by the 2ALibertyWatchCompany.com. Watches that express your love of the Second Amendment, American liberty, and President Trump. All beautifully crafted and endorsed by Mike Church. Shop their stylish line of watches today at 2AWatchCompany.com. In the market report, the Dow was up 0.34%, the S&P climbed 0.23%, NASDAQ was up 0.80%. On the National Day calendar, today is National Oatmeal Day. Oatmeal has a long tradition in the state of Vermont, which originated with the Scottish settlement. Although there were many variations, most oatmeal recipes began with steel-cut oats. They soaked the oats overnight in cold water, salt, and maple syrup, and in the morning, the cook would add ground nutmeg, ground cinnamon, and occasionally ground sugar. Pot was then placed over heat and served steaming hot with cream, milk, or butter. If you're a cat lover, today is your day because today is National Cat Day. And it's also National Hermit Day, recognizing the need for solitude in all of us, or the hermit in all of us. Our quote of the day is, even if I must suffer greatly, thanks be to God's mercy, I will not lack courage. Genoveva Torres Morales. And our saint of the day is Saint Narcissus of Jerusalem. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
Okay, please enter the 9-digit two-step authorization code we just emailed you. Jeez.
What do you mean, prove I'm human?
Okay, that's a car. That's a car. That's a car. Those are not cars. Please try again. Oh my gosh. I'll show you. Try again, stupid piece of AI mother.
Here, try this.
Jim, what are you doing? Good grief, man. This isn't Office Space the movie. What are you trying to do?
I just wanted to send the KingDude a donation through the stupid computer.
Like Trump, the KingDude makes everything better, including donating, which you can now do by mail.
Mail? They still have that?
Of course they do, and the KingDude's keeping the ponies running on time and in business. Just snail mail your donation to P.O. Box 400, Madisonville, Louisiana, 70447.
Ha! And you can't. You're such a boomer. Me this time. And wait a minute. I know they're around here somewhere. There! Ha-ha!
Dude, those are airmail stamps from the movie Airplane. Surely you have...
Of course I do. And don't call me Shirley. The Crusade Radio Guild is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, so your donations are tax deductible. Donate today, the Crusade Radio Guild, P.O. Box 400, Madisonville, Louisiana, 70447.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, KingDude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, KingDude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And KingDude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East, exclusively on the Crusade Channel live talk and podcast radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be.
If women living near rivers and taking a pill turns the frickin' frogs gay, imagine what happens to men on the same river who don't listen to Mike Church.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, there you are.
I'm still standing.
Welcome back. The fastest 3 hours in all of radio, the Mike Church Show, is American talk radio made by Americans, not AI. How many of you have seen these ridiculous ChatGPT commercials where they show the high school kid or the young college young man and the young lady, the sister, and they're in the parents' used Volvo, and they're sitting in the driveway in the middle of the country going like, well, where are you? And she goes, where are you taking me on our spring vacation? My spring break trip. And he says, don't worry, I got the whole plane planned out. And then they show that he asks ChatGPT for what to do, and ChatGPT said, you can do this, and you can do that, you can do this, you can do that. And then you can, here's a suggested playlist. Maggie made the most amazing observation earlier today. The Jim Mosier commercial with him going like, wait a minute, prove that I'm human. Okay, that's a car. That's not a car. That's not a car. What do you mean? So you have a machine that's not human telling you to prove that you are human. J. Arthur Bloom is going to be on this show again tomorrow, and I'm going to ask him more about what he thinks is the coming crash of AI. And again, I think that he's right. I believe this is a Silicon Valley bubble that was inflated and exploded, and that is going to explode like a housing bubble, like Mike Parrott was talking about, the Japanese Fed bubble. And these things all have one thing in common. What do they all have in common? Government. The SNAP benefits that are going to come to a crashing halt, who started that? Government. Why did they start it? Well, they cared for the poor. No, I'm pretty sure they had an idea for a racket. And there was a really good racket, too, while it lasted. So is this the MAGA man bringing the racket to an end? I think that it is. Maggie, let's do some digital media files. I want to hear about this guy, John Kennedy. Well, Sean, yeah, even duct tape can't fix stupid. It played number 10. Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, who has never won to be short. By the way, the Hurricane Melissa has made its way through Jamaica. And Jamaica, well, if you didn't live in a touristy area of Jamaica and you weren't working in tourism, Jamaica was a pretty poor country to be. Now, it wasn't as bad as Haiti. They did have free enterprise and private property in Jamaica. But that thing went right over that island, and they're going to be cleaning up for years. We could tell you after Hurricane Ida, year. After Hurricane Laura, years. People have no idea unless you've seen it. Even people in South Carolina, you know this. Hurricane Hugo, remember? Years. It's just kind of the natural thing. It happens. You're living. There are storms. There are hurricanes. You live in a snow area. Maybe there are blizzards and there are avalanches. There's no escaping Earth. In any event, continue praying for the people of Jamaica. My heart will be warmed to see that the Cajun Navy, I know, is going to be there. Such good guys, such a great and world renowned. You know, the United Cajun Navy and I follow each other, so I'm going to reach out to them and ask them if there's anything that we can do to assist, because they're already there. They're ready to go in as soon as they get the all clear. In any event, here's Senator Kennedy yesterday talking about the government shutdown with Hannity.
Yes, and I listened to your monologue, Sean, with all of these different characters. I thought to myself, even duct tape can't fix stupid. I don't know Miss Wallace. I've watched her a little bit. I remember when she worked for President Bush. I suppose she's not as bad as some members of the liberal media, but that's faint praise. That's like being the smartest person on The View. I'm going to give Ms. Wallace the benefit of the doubt and assume that she said what she said right after her morning beer. The Democrats have accused the
Nicole Wallace.
President Trump of
We're going to run out of time, and I want to get some more clips in. Nicole Wallace is a pathological, sinister liar. She doesn't exist in a world where the Crusade Radio Guild and Nicomedean Christian ethics are applied to broadcasting. It just doesn't exist. There's no place for someone like that. People are asking the question, is Nicole Wallace for this? She really? Yes, she is for real. She's been doing this for years. As I pointed out a couple of weeks or a month or so ago, Julie Rosinski. Why is Julie Rosinski still popping up on CNN now? This woman is a pathological hag liar and has been a shill for every lie the Demoncrat Party has ever bought or has ever sold, and the American people have been forced to purchase. Why is CNN throwing money at that hack? You can't find someone else to do this? Bull. So it's up to the Crusade Radio Guild to straighten some of this mess out. Play digital media file. Speaking of, okay, play number 9. Go back one. Melanie Stansbury, this witch. There's another witch. I'll give him credit, though. Fake Tapper going like, I don't think that's right. That's not the fact.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding
this
their. I'm not applauding their
by
tactics.
the White House.
Well,
this is a choice by the White House.
This
They
is
are
also,
choosing
Congresswoman,
to
this
cut
is
off
also a
food
choice
assistance.
by
so
Senate
stupid.
Democrats
Oh my
to
God,
not
it is
vote to
not.
open the government. Yes, it is.
This
I understand
Senate-
why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding
It's not
funds
sitting
from
there.
2 to 3
children
weeks worth
to
of SNAP
have
funds.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it may not be a big deal to you, but let me
It is
tell
a
you
big
that
deal to
for
me.
the grandparents, for grandparents
deal
that
to me.
literally are feeding their children.
My point
to
is that
not
it's a
have
short-term
money
solution.
In those accounts,
Oh, please.
It's a short-term.
At the end of the day, people need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds
If you
run
feel
out,
so
and we
strongly,
are fighting to
Congresswoman,
get
why
that
not
funding.
ask the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government so that the SNAP funds...
Sir, I am here in the House of Representatives. It is
No,
shut down.
shut up. Dingbat. Absolute. She sounds drunk. She does sound. I think they're all drunk. This is the woman that gets in the congressional testimony and a hearing, and she's on the committee with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's the other one with Jasmine Caraca that just gets up there and pontificates and tells lies. Ms. Stansbury, the fact of the matter is that your state of New Mexico, look at the chart, ma'am. Your state of New Mexico is more poor, and that's a feat, that's an accomplishment than Louisiana. Your state is more poor. You have more people on SNAP in New Mexico than Mississippi does. You represent sloth. Literally. Organized, governed sloth. And you're going to sit there and you're going to blame someone else? It's your administration. Oh, cry us a flippin' river, ma'am. You have 2 Democrat senators from New Mexico. That's 2 out of the 3 votes needed to reopen the government. All you need is 1 more. Boom. Dumb deal. This is what you're dealing with. And the sad part about it is, at one point in time, New Mexico was not a state that was filled with leftards. It's the one state that in 2024 campaign, one state that they thought somebody said was going to be in play, and President Trump wisely never. I think I want to say that on the way to Tucson or on the way to Phoenix, he stopped somewhere in New Mexico for one rally. One. And there was a line on the interstate to get into it. This is all about Trump. All of it. The man he is living rent-free in these people's minds, and they know that if they can't defeat him, that their gig is over. I don't think people are understanding this. This is the end. They don't have anywhere. They're going to win the governor's mansion in New Jersey, Virginia. Trump didn't win New Jersey. He didn't win Virginia. Why do you expect that Republican candidates are going to win there? Now, I think Ciartelli, I think, has a shot. You've got TPUSA and you've got Scott Presler on the ground doing door knocks in New Jersey. That woman in New Jersey could be in trouble. If there is a late surge of Republicans that get to the polls. As a matter of fact, I believe I saw Scott Presler pointing out that if the Republicans had shown up or registered to vote in New Jersey and had voted, Trump would have won New Jersey. Last time there was a governor's race, it was pretty close. We'll see. We'll see. How about this one? I want to know now, okay, sticking with fake Tapper. This is number 12. Well, number 11 is Comer with fake Tapper. You can go ahead and play it. This is again on the AutoPen. We should call this AutoPenGate.
The president even mentally fit to make those decisions. And that's why we brought Dr. O'Connor in. And Dr. O'Connor, when the first question we asked, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health?
The White House physician, yes.
The White House physician, and he pled the Fifth Amendment.
So
he wouldn't answer that.
You referred to him and then 2 other aides, Anthony Bernal and Annie Tomasini, all of whom pleaded the Fifth, to the Justice Department. What are you expecting them to look into?
We believe there was a cover-up of Joe Biden's mental fitness. The fact that Joe Biden met with Ian Sams, his White House spokesperson, 2 times in 2 years. The fact that he met with Neera Tanden, who was his executive secretary, once every month or whatever. I mean, it's shocking. Every other president, President Obama, President Bush, President Trump, they meet with these staffers multiple times per week. And Joe Biden was clearly shielded. And I think you wrote very well and very accurately in your book that he was shielded from people. He was shielded from Pete Buttigieg. He was shielded from his inner staff. So the question that I think the Department of Justice needs to ask these people that pled the Fifth, was there an organized cover-up? Why did you not give the president a cognitive test when even mainstream media outlets were demanding that Joe Biden take a cognitive test?
All right, Maggie, put your graphic in the chat room with the skeleton on the park bench. I'm kidding. Okay, and then one more. Here's what the Fifth Amendment sounded like. This is Dr. O'Connor. This is Biden's doctor. No, I have to ask the question, okay, if you're going to say you're pleading the Fifth because of medical privilege, all right, fine. I get that. I understand it. That's not why he says he's pleading the Fifth. This is why.
Dr. O'Connor, were you ever told to lie about the president's health?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in the reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer. I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Let the record reflect that Dr. O'Connor has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Dr. O'Connor, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, and I must rely on my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Dr. O'Connor,
okay. I just wanted you to hear what it sounded like. Let me just tell you, if you're ever accused of murdering someone and the cops have you in a room and there's no lawyer there, bring that script with you and say that. Don't ever talk to law enforcement. They're not your friends, especially when you're talking about murder raps. The smaller the town or the bigger the profile, the worse it gets. I can't tell you how many moms, murders, and mysteries cases we could take, and we could just spend from now until the end of the year, we wouldn't run out of them, on people that made the mistake of talking to the police. Once you talk to them, they are going to take everything that you say. It doesn't even matter. You could talk about Walmart and waiting online for the groceries. They will take it and they will use it to frame you. Now, maybe there are some people that actually did it that talk to cops. My view is most people think they're doing the right thing and going, no, I'm just trying to help. I'll cooperate. Don't do it. You're not cooperating. You're basically signing your own death warrant. Don't do it. I don't blame the guy for not talking to Congress. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to issue subpoenas. They're going to say you got to come in. You have to testify. They're going to grand jury the guy, and until the Injustice Department says, okay, well, there was a conspiracy here, and we're going to prosecute you based on this conspiracy. This will continue, and no one is going to pay for what is obviously the crime. And you must hand it to them. It sounds like they had meetings and they got their I's crossed and their T's dotted, or their T's crossed and their I's dotted. Even Corinne Jean-Pierre is now saying that, no, I never saw that. Oh, no, he was in perfectly good health. He was in the greatest of perfectly good. His health was so good, it was the greatest good health I've ever seen. And people are going like, you were there? Really? No one is going to pay for this. This is I believe, a bunch of kabuki theater. I don't think that they should not have the hearings because I don't think that this is a nothing burger. The crime was committed. There was a conspiracy, just like with the FBI doing what they did to Trump. As I have said, and I'll keep saying again and again and again and again, and there's the skeleton on a park bench waiting for somebody to be arrested. True story. I'll say it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. We have a shadow government. We have a government that rules roughshod. No one ever votes for it. You voted for it back in the 60s and put it there. And it can even go after seated and former presidents of the United States. It knows no bounds to its power, and it acts with impunity. And it shouldn't exist. I believe that the American public would be far better off if things like the FBI were permanently disbanded and that law enforcement was returned back to the municipalities and the states. The FBI can be reconstituted to go after crimes committed in the federal government. That's why it had a charter. That's what it was created to do. Well, then again, the acorn has become an oak. Use the government shutdown to keep watching it shrink smaller, smaller, does less and less and less and less. And so the people go there, well, wait a minute. We're still having a pretty good go of it here. Just, people that I know that were employed by the government are bitching about it, but I'm okay. Think of it this way. It's day 30 now, right? That's 30 days they haven't been able to print any money. By definition, inflation has come to a halt. Inflation is the increase of the paper money supply. So by definition, if they're not printing any money because they're not making debt up because the government is shut down, fine by me, inflation should be coming to a halt. You might even get some deflation if it goes on long enough. Okay, let's go to Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor here. Magdalene, big news yesterday, and I guess this is big news in young people's circles. Pints with Aquinas is now moving to the Daily Wire.
Yep, it is finally done. There had been rumors about it for a while, and I think that Ben Shapiro has really emerged as someone who's willing to platform only Jews and Catholics. Like, that is the line, and that's because Catholic viewership is up across the board. He's trying to get in on that before I think any major media outlets decide to invest in it.
Well, I'm just wondering, how deeply do you invest in Catholicism, and how many people can you win over when the guy that's writing the checks and that you're answering to says that Jesus, our Lord and Savior, was a petty thief and a criminal who was not God?
Well, that's true, and I think one of the things we've seen now is that Catholics are willing to pay money for content. Like, that was kind of
They are?
for many years.
Where?
Well, they are.
Where? Where do I find these people?
Well, I think Ben Shapiro has found them, and they have been sourced there. The truth is, there's been a very big problem with Catholic billionaires and millionaires investing into Catholic media. We've seen that for years. Ben Shapiro is kind of the position that as long as you're not saying terrible things about Israel, he's going to hire you and he's going to promote you, and he's going all in. I mean, I will say, he put his money where his mouth is.
Okay, follow-up question. This is Rod Dreher at his blog yesterday. Nick plus Tucker, a two-man Unite the Right rally. And then he talks about Fuentes' interview with Tucker, and I still haven't heard the whole thing, but I was intrigued by this. For example, Fuentes shocks Tucker at this point in the interview by mentioning as an aside that he is a fan of Stalin and always an admirer. He doesn't explain. We'll circle back, says Tucker. Well, he never does. And then, Dreher says, is Nick Fuentes a fan of Stalin? So he asks Grok. Here's Grok's answer. Nick Fuentes, a far-right political commentator known for white nationalist and anti-Semitic views, has expressed a complex and often contradictory fascination with Stalin. While Fuentes frequently criticizes communism as a subversive fifth column movement, historically dominated by Jews, he has repeatedly praised Stalin personally for his authoritarian leadership, industrial achievements, and role in defeating Nazism. And then Dreher gives the dates of the broadcast: March 2023, December 2023, January 14, 2022, August 21st, 2024. And then Dreher says this, so get this. Fuentes loves Hitler, but loves Stalin in part for defeating Nazism. One gets the idea that young Nick is not the brightest chap, and that he just loves authoritarian tyrants who hate Jews. Now, Dreher is writing his piece primarily because he's friends with Tucker, and I guess Tucker wouldn't take his call, and he's going like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you interviewing this guy? And if you're going to do that, can you ask him the hardball question? So listen to this, Magdalene. In November 2019 on his show, Fuentes said, quote, if Antifa is waving the banner of Falangism, if they're waving the banner of Franco, and they're saying Catholic fascism now, I would join them. Yes, take over the country, storm D.C., take over the Capitol, raise the banner of Mussolini and Franco, and, you know, some notable others, right? Oswald Mosley, that would be a great thing. Because I am late to the Nick Fuentes party, I have to rely, and I haven't heard the entirety of the interview. I've only heard the 12 minutes that we have played here. Is Dreher's portrayal of Fuentes accurate?
I mean, I think partly so. I think the thing with Nick Fuentes is that he very much enjoys historically authoritarian figures. This is not a surprise to anybody. Like, I've heard this before, and I think Fuentes is of a position that we must use extreme force to get the country back. And this is not a position held widely by young conservatives, but his discussion, for example, of what he would do to protesters at the ICE protesters in front of detention facilities tracks with how he's always been. And you mentioned the Dinesh D'Souza conversation with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk had that conversation with many people. He would tell people not to platform Fuentes. And when Kirk was assassinated, there was a rabbi in Florida who was on with Josh Hammer, who is a major commentator, who said, the main thing I'm concerned about now is the fact that there's going to be no firewall against Nick Fuentes. We're seeing how true that is.
Well, I'm just reading what Dreher has written here. Here are the stats. Since Fuentes was reinstated on X 16 months ago by Elon, his followers have grown from 140,000 to 750,000. His America First streaming show viewership on Rumble has quintupled to around 500,000. Matt Delic, a political historian, says Fuentes represents the cutting edge of a right-wing racism that has surged over the past decade during the rise of Trump. Now, I think this falls under the banner of when you hear that there's kind of the guy that wrote the piece for the Federalist the other day, or if you're more into policing the right wing than you are to fighting the left, then you're part of the problem here. I don't think that Christian conservatism needs Stalin to succeed. I mean, I read a little bit of history. I know just a smidgen about this. I know just a little bit about this. This, to me, seems to be the anti-intellectual, lazy man's way out of this. Well, we'll take them by force. We'll just bowl them over. That's what the Mohammedans do. You don't cheerlead that. Or am I right? You know, I guess I'm wrong. And that's why I'm stuck with 500 viewers a day instead of 500,000.
Well, that's true, and I think that the praising of Stalin is a problem. People have to understand, and Tucker didn't really get this, the level of through fire Nick Fuentes has gone through. And I mean, that's not a justification for praising Stalin, but when you look at somebody like him and why he's so extreme in certain viewpoints and why he's uncompromising, that is because he has lost everything like 3 times in politics. He's been doxxed, deplatformed. So when you look at him and you say, why is he so much more extreme, for example, than someone like Charlie Kirk? It's because Charlie Kirk, from his inception into politics, was praised and given money to do it. And yes, he worked hard, but there was a degree of people just saying yes to him. Fuentes is the other side of the coin. He is just as well spoken in many regards. No one said yes to him. Nobody gave him anything. What you're seeing, and the reason it's so dangerous to people who were against him, is because everything he has is organically earned.
Okay, so as a follow-up to this, because now people want to talk about Franco and Mussolini and fascism, and I know that Kennedy Hall likes to talk about this. My view and my point of view on that is you have to mitigate. There you go, mitigate. You have to mitigate what Franco did, which was good for Spain, and what Mussolini was attempting to do with the politics and kind of the geopolitical situation that they were in their countries. The situation in the United States is not the same. You don't have that kind of a makeup. You don't have the state and then the union relationship thing. You don't have the counties in the state and then the state relationship thing. You don't have the cities in the counties or parishes in Louisiana relationship thing. We have what was basically a new take on an old idea. We have, and it's not a very good model anymore, but it was at one time, we have what was called republicanism, which is supposedly ground up. This is your government is as small, as Jefferson said, as the New England township. That does not go well with dictators and strongmen at the top. I think Trump's about as close as you're going to get to that. And look, you and I have talked about this, and I'm out there on the record, and I'll say it again, that President Trump is to be commended. They call him an authoritarian. You have no idea of the power and the hell he could bring to California, Illinois, Massachusetts, and New York if he really were. There is no force on earth that could stop the president of the United States from having Gavin Newsom, Maura Healey, and J.B. Pritzker arrested. Now, you could protest against it, and you could decry it, and you could go to the UN and to The Hague, but nobody could stop him. If he really wanted to, he chooses not to. He chooses, he's going like, we're going to try to do this the Republican way, and a little R Republican here. So Trump's as close as you're going to get to that. You people on the right that are asking for a step above Trump, that you want the violence and that you want the arrests, and you know what you're going to get with that? You're going to get resistance here. You better watch what you're asking for. Now, look, I don't know how that's going to turn out. Maybe there's a war, and maybe you're on the side of the war, the people that win the war, for dissolution of the union and return to states or to smaller confederacies. I don't know, but you better watch and be careful, because you could see a path here where this could get out of control pretty easily here, and it could get really, really violent. So do people want, is this what young conservatives, what they want? They want someone who is going to act more forcefully than a Donald Trump? Well, that's certainly not J.D. Vance at this moment.
Well, no, and Nick Fuentes hates J.D. Vance. I mean, I have seen, just from snippets on X throughout the year, he hates J.D. Vance. He thinks he's weak. He's much more likely to back Ron DeSantis. And, this is the truth here. Charlie Kirk did a lot of suppression of people he thought were dangerous to the conservative world. And he would do it, not everyone was because of Israel, some people who just didn't think were a good fit. Fuentes, for many years, said this was true. And, it's being confirmed now. Dinesh D'Souza spoke and shared out those text messages. What has happened here is that young conservative men who are under 25 now, it doesn't seem significantly younger than Kirk, but in many ways it is with schooling. They are much more right-wing. They look at Donald Trump and they say, would I vote for Donald Trump if he was running a third time? Yeah, because he's Donald Trump and I trust him and he's been through it. But they want more severity. They're in the trenches. They're in high schools where they're told that they're nothing because they're men. They know that the world is against them. If you're going to try to unite the young conservative world, uniting with the people who are more moderate isn't going to work. Fuentes is stepping into that power vacuum. First of all, because Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It's not like Kirk retired or he went into politics. He was assassinated. So people became radicalized from that moment.
I agree.
And in addition to that, Nick Fuentes has been a powerful figure. Kirk did a lot to suppress him because he feared this moment.
It is I think it's a cluster, you know what. Let me just read you a couple of comments from the Crusader Stadium chat room. Bert Starr, why do we give a hoot about Nick Fuentes? Then someone comes behind Bert Starr, and this is Franny. Hi, Franny. I love you, Franny. Franny says, Bert, I am with Bert Starr. I don't get it. I cannot listen to him. Sadly, I think many of these voices are saboteurs for conservatism. I think that was Charlie's instinct, Magdalene, that they are not the guardians of and the promoters of conservatism. They are the saboteurs of it. I would just like everyone to know, And by the way, if you're a Catholic and you want to throw money at Catholics that are broadcasters, we don't do Catholic radio, but Catholics that are broadcasters, we do a lot of that here on the Crusade channel. Perhaps you've heard of Reconquest. And perhaps you've heard of St. Benedict Center conferences and Saint of the Day and things like that. So Magdalene says that the market for Catholic content is rising. It is? How do I find these people?
It is definitely right.
Well, then we better figure out how to find these people before they get captured by the Benfather. All of them. Let me just say this. There is a book out there that I would recommend all of you to read. Where's Dr. Torres at when I need him? Darn you, Torres. It's called A Better Guide Than Reason. It's written by Melvin Bradford, who's professor of economics at UT. Mel Bradford, M.E. Bradford, as he was known, was one of the stars of the National Review, Human Events, what was the magazine? Triumph magazine, kind of. And Mel Bradford was in Triumph magazine with Brent Roselle. Bradford's point was a better guide than reason. Bradford's point is, you know what is a better guide than reason? And this is where I see, when you start talking about fascists and you start talking about beating people and start talking about arresting and violence and stuff, do you know what the better guide than reason is?
No.
Guess. Just guess.
I don't know.
Tradition. Tradition is the better guide than reason. Because tradition has been tested. As I always say on this show and have for decades now, how does something become traditional? By and large, there are exceptions, but by and large, how does something become traditional? It produced human flourishing.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I will say with that as well is that Nick Fuentes is pushing in his mind what traditional Catholicism is. And he's attracting millions of young Catholic men. So if people want to get in that conversation, you got to give them other people to follow, because the vast majority of his audience are young Catholic men of all races.
I just think that this moment here is it's a volatile moment. I think that there is progress that is being made. I think that you have to really be cynical to a point where you will deny any good has happened under Trump. That's just not true. I can demonstrably prove that that's not true. But it's not enough, though, you see. You know, the skeletons on the bench, Democrats haven't been arrested, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. I understand it. There's frustration, and people are burned. They're scarred. You know, the American form of government, and certainly the federal government, has grown and has been the enemy of good people and their wallets and their freedom and their liberties and their paychecks and all the other things that go along with a good Christian society for decades now, maybe for over a century and a half, since Appomattox. So people, I think, have a right to a certain amount of cynicism and a certain amount of, well, I don't believe you. Okay, fine. That's fine. I just don't know that it is enough for progress in the other direction, for things to be brought to an end, that incrementalism is good enough for people. I think that the Fuentes of the world sounds to me like, well, I want it done now. Okay, well, then let's have a revolution. Revolutions kill people. Now, there are people who are saying that, yeah, either we kill them or they kill us. That is actually a heresy that was condemned by the church in the writings of Thomas Hobbes. Hobbes said that you either kill or be killed, and if you don't want to be killed, then you get a big government to sue. And that is actually that wasn't an actual practiced heresy, but the thought was declared, and he was declared under threat of heresy. Retract the book, and he did. He retracted the book. So I don't know. I wish I had the answer. Here, do you think that Schumer is going to crack on Halloween?
No, I don't. I think Schumer is in it for the long haul. I think that the Democrat caucus is enjoying the coverage of SNAP benefits being cut because it makes them in a more powerful position because Republicans seem a little apathetic.
I think that there have been successes. Trump signing the Geneva Accord, the Geneva Declaration on Life the other day, success. Reinstating Mexico City policy, success. Appointing many of the people he's appointed in positions, success. The time that Elon was there, success. The big beautiful bill did have some of the Doge cuts in it, success. USAID is no more. It doesn't exist. It's gone. They even took the letters off the building, success. You could go on and on and on with success. Is it big? Is Andy Griffith coming on tonight with an episode of Mayberry RFD because Mayberry has been restored? No. You have an entire 2, 3, 4 generations of people that have been raised in a post-Christian society where entitlement and the idea that all rights are equal and you can do anything in the public square that you want because you have the right to. So, no, there's an awful lot of carnage left to be dealt with. One man, I don't believe can actually fix all that, especially in 10 months. It took 100 some odd years to get here. I don't think you're going to get it all repaired in 10 months. But have there been successes? Yes, there have been successes. But again, I don't know that is enough for most people. You also have two sets of worlds, Magdalene. You have the world where people live in the real world and only talk to each other because they're busy with their careers or their vocations or their jobs. Then you have the world where people exist and we talk to each other through this thing called social media. Which one is reality?
I think it's a hybrid of the two, because when what's discussed on social media gets out into the real world, then it becomes real. But if it stays within this echo chamber, then it's not real because it's not something people are feeling and living.
And that's the, again, I'm going to go back and say everyone should go and listen to the second segment. No, you should listen to Hour 2, Segment 2 of yesterday's show and what happened in Baltimore, Maryland at St. Alphonsus, the National Shrine of St. Alphonsus Liguori and Father Ian Bozant and the Christ the King procession. If you want to see whether or not anything that is good is happening, whether or not Christ is still working here and grace is still working in the United States, listen to that show, read Father Bozant's letter. And look, I could pretty much do a mic drop on that. But I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of this stuff. Here's another one, a final thing here. All right. So is anyone... All right. Trump is in the Far East. He's meeting today with Xi Jinping. He's made deals with the Malaysians, with the Cambodians, with the Vietnamese, with the Japanese, with the South Koreans. Now he's going to make one with China. And I think there's one other country that's in there. I think there's a total of 6. That's 6 trade deals that have been made over the course of the past 5 days. That's 6 more trade deals than Biden made. That's 6 more trade deals than Obama made. That's 6 more trade deals than Bush made during the entirety of his presidency. That's 6 more, no, because Clinton did NAFTA. This is the most amount of trade deals. You actually have the leader of the United States going, we're open for business, we want your business, but don't kid yourself. You can't dump your products in our market anymore. That's just not going to happen, and we're going to make our stuff in America. And he's actually now done something to line up some of the resources to do so. This plays long term. You don't get the result of those deals tomorrow. You might get them next year or next month, but you don't get them tomorrow. Question is there, does it happen fast enough before the proverbial midterms? I don't know. I think that some of this does, but I don't know.
I think some of it does, and the Asian countries have done a great service. The people of Asian countries have elected right-wing leaders. And I think that's why a lot of this is happening. It's happening in Japan, South Korea. areas that we have a lot of interest in, especially in technology, but when they're run by crazy leftists, we can't do business with them. They just won't come to the table. So Trump is really realigning our strategic trade partners, focusing on Asia, on Japan and South Korea specifically. And if you notice, the EU has been increasingly left in the dust. Like, Trump will talk to them when he wants to end a war, but in terms of trade negotiations, he doesn't seem to be focusing on that region. I've seen a lot of discussion, particularly about the UK, and Republicans, even sort of mid-level Republicans and viewpoints, are concerned about the UK's future because of the amount of Islamification that's happening there. There's a concern over trade. There's a concern over basing anything there. Vance has spoken publicly about this. So we might see even more a focus on the U.S. and the Asian countries, the Middle Eastern countries, and pulling out of the EU, with the exception of countries like Poland and Hungary. If we do that, we will have a much stronger base in terms of economics and trade.
Well, I think that is key. And look where he has not visited. There's been no European tour.
No. The only way they could do it was to get the only way they could even get him there was the royal family, because Trump and his mother loved the royal family. I think he goes there kind of in homage to her. But they didn't get anything from that. He didn't re-up any contracts. He doesn't care. The EU is making themselves irrelevant because of the Islamification they're allowing throughout their country.
Well, and then you think about it, Magdalene, not only as the thing with the royal family there. Newsflash to all of you listeners, just a reminder. England, the United Kingdom, is no longer in the EU. They had Brexit. They got out. They're not in the EU. So he didn't visit an EU country. He visited England. Big difference.
Yeah.
So, and with the tension that is there between them and NATO, again, I think that there is probably some strong communication going on and saying, like, dude, you keep importing. You are basically importing into your country, as Biden was, your ruin. And if you don't stop it, I'm just going to let you ruin yourself. It's going to suck to be a European, and it literally is going to suck to be a European. All right, final question. Is New Jersey now actually in play?
I think that there is a chance. And you know that I'm very much not in the let's give any chance the deep blue areas to turn red. But New Jersey is interesting because for the past 3 elections, they have trended solidly red. They haven't been able to close the gap. A big portion of this that I've done research on is that the Indian American community, meaning like Far Eastern Indians, who are here legally, who are in tech and science and all of that, they have the young people of that area have begun to take over neighborhoods in sort of a positive way. They're American citizens. They have jobs. They're paying taxes, but they like New Jersey. They like the system. They're putting their kids into school. So young Indian families are becoming a major power player in Republican politics in New Jersey, and they don't like Democrats because Republicans running in New Jersey are not particularly socially conservative, but they're fiscally conservative. The word is Democrats have no idea how to talk to them.
Okay, and then your interview with Brandon yesterday, is it on YouTube?
It will be tonight.
Okay, so this is the guy that's working against Kami Mamdani in New York. And, yeah, there is progress being made there. All right, Magdalene, thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to wrap it up here for today. Remember, there is going to be a brand new Moms, Murders, and Mysteries posted as a podcast shortly this morning. It is the first ever Halloween episode, The Real Annabelle. We broadcast it yesterday. It aired again last night. A lot of you listened to it. What's that? A lot of people were getting freaked out by it. Well, it's a Halloween episode. It's meant to be a little creepy, a little scary, because it is. So get that as a download at crusadechannel.com. Tomorrow night, Thursday Night Throwdown, is Songs You Know by Heart. Not a trick title, literally. I give you the first line. Can you finish the line? That's a W. If you can't finish the line, that's a and we should actually play it kind of like Name That Tune. Be a lot of fun. And also, thanks to all of you who helped us in our fundraising drive for the equipment purchase. I spent the last 2 days programming that thing. I believe I have most of it done. And there's a very good chance that I'm going to bring it in here and hook it up so we can actually start using it tomorrow. And I can show you all about it. So thank you. There is a fundraiser for this week in the chat room, crusadechannel.com/. chat. Thanks to Elizabeth Wigington and JT and Aiden for your contributions today. That fund also needs your attention. You can donate, crusadechannel.com/donate, or by going to the link, crusadechannel.com/donate. If news breaks out today, we will break in. Have a safe and blessed remainder of your Wisdom Wednesday and the Feast of St. Narcissus here on the Crusade Channel. If you know how we can reach those people that are supposedly looking for supposed Catholic content, send me an email. I am KingDude@protonmail.com. Seriously, God bless you. Merry keep you.
I'm going away.